is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker. Up on TSN 4, Brian Hayes, Jonas Siegel from The Athletic in here. How are we doing, Jonas?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Wearing a suit in this level of heat. And I picked a bad suit, like it's a heavy winter suit.
For some reason, you don't strike me as someone who has summer suits.
I don't, actually. You're right.
Like, you know those linen, like light color,
yes,
airy?
I do not have that.
I didn't think so.
Don't have that, but was doing some Sports Center stuff, and, man, getting in the car these days. Like, you need about 25 minutes for that thing to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I started my car early, let the windows down a little bit, and gave it about 10 minutes, and I must have been driving for 20 minutes. It was still way too hot in my car. Like, it takes half an hour for that AC in this level of heat. Your car is just so overcooked if it's out in the open air. Like, if you park in a garage or something, it's different. But mine's just sitting on the driveway. It's a black truck, just getting crushed.
Can I make another assumption about you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Not a Windows guy.
Hate the windows down. Hate windows down. But now this is going to sound very vain.
Yeah.
And in some ways it is, but I am a professional that's on TV. If I got the hair cooking,
Yeah, all right.
how do you do the windows down?
But what about like you're driving up north, or like when you went swimming in the lake?
Yes. Happy to
Windows
do that.
down?
I'd rather AC.
Okay.
Like personally, if I can launch an AC, high AC, max AC. Like the window doesn't do anything. When it's 32 or 33, a windows down does nothing. You're just circulating warm air. It's just a nuisance.
You get the breeze.
But I don't think it's warm breeze. It's hot, aggravating breeze.
Yeah.
A window's down when you're hot and it's like 18 outside, 16 out, like early in spring, later in fall. I'll grant you that.
But you know, in summer,
that,
like you put the music on loud, you need the windows down. You got to get like
not a windows.
vibe.
You're right. You assumed correctly. You assumed
I should
correctly.
just keep making assumptions.
What else do you have for me? What else do you have?
I don't know. I got to think about it.
Okay, put some thought into this. It's basically here's the thing, Jonas. We'll do it a little bit later, but it's just going to be you assuming different things of me.
Yeah.
Yet I think you know me so well. I don't think you're going to get anything wrong. You nailed me on the no linen summer suits.
Yeah.
Don't have any of those. You nailed me on the hating the
I got
windows
another
down.
one. You don't like sandals. You don't wear sandals.
I'm not a sandals guy. I hate driving with sandals. And you know what I hate more than anything of any clothing item is the sandal with the toe. Like where it's the big toe is separated. You know what I mean? Like there's
You know what I wear every single day in the summer?
That's what you wear.
All the time.
How do you wear those? Like it's
I
so
love
aggravating
them.
on the toe.
I walk around the city in those.
You can't possibly pick up steam though. Like what if there's a scenario where you're trying to catch something or you feel like you got to
running?
Well, you got to put some pace on. You know, like you're
For what?
I don't know. It's a green light and you're going to cross the street and you can see the numbers going down 5, 4, 3. You're like, I'm going to make this light. You can't make a light in those things.
I don't try to do it.
So you just are never in a hurry. Whenever you're wearing those sandals, there's no urgency.
You got to
in your
know
life.
what you're wearing.
You have no urgency in your
Yeah.
life ever when you're wearing those.
I'm guessing like you hate the sand at the beach.
I hate the beach.
Man, I know you so well.
Hate the sand, man. I'm not a fan of the sand feel. Plus, the beach is a nuisance. All right, always a pain in the ass to find parking. Always. Then you got to get a spot that fits everyone, and you're never going to please everyone because someone wants shade, someone wants to be closer to the water, someone wants to be closer to the washrooms.
Yeah.
Right? Try to find washrooms, and then like when I'm there with my kids, they're going to go right in, and then everything's going to be so sandy. You're already predicting how awful the drive home's going to be because they're just going to get into the car, and you're already, you're like, this is like PTSD. I can picture myself. Yeah, you're yelling at
Getting
your kids.
upset?
Well, you're like, don't jump in yet. Don't get in the car yet. Like, you got to do the wipe down, right? You don't want sand all over the place, but they don't care. They're just getting in. Hate the beach. Hate the beach. What else do you have?
You're just like anti-summer.
No,
generally.
I listen. I love a pool. Love an AC. Love golf. I love summer. Love a barbecue.
Yeah.
Love a barbecue. Beers on the street or whatever. Beer. Just patios. Love a patio. I'm kind of out of my patio era because if you don't live downtown, patios are kind of makeshift. You get everywhere else. Like there are patios around where I live, but they're not like hopping.
Not destination.
No, it's not a destination patio.
I got you. Okay.
So I don't really live the patio lifestyle anymore, but I still enjoy it, and I intend on partaking in the future for sure. I like the summer, man. Don't paint me with that brush. That's inaccurate.
Are you an SPF 30 or higher?
Oh, I'd be lower if anything. A lot of times I don't hit it enough. I got to be honest.
Okay.
And I'm kind of.
It's a little reckless of you.
Well, here's the thing. Now I'm going to get conspiracy theory on this.
Does it work?
I kind of feel like
works.
you got to be in a. Well, here's another thing that you learn. The 15 and the 30 and the all that is telling you is how long it's going to work for. Right, like a 60 is 60 minutes. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Like for the longest time,
true?
That's my understanding. Is like a SPF 15 is going to give you 15 minutes of coverage.
What would be the point of that?
And then you got to reapply it. I don't know. That's what I've been told, and maybe I'm believing the wrong people. But I was of the impression that's exactly that. You put on 60, you could be sitting on the sun. It can't do anything to you. 15 better for tanning, but I think it kind of wears off. That's all it means is it wears off quicker.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't apply enough. But like I like the sun. I'm one with the sun. I'm cool with the sun.
Burned, you can get.
I don't really generally get burned. I just kind of get a tan going, and then it fades pretty quickly. I do apply, but I don't apply as much as I probably should. I think some people go over. I got you pegged as an overboard. Like you're a big sunscreen lotion guy.
I'm diligent.
Are you a full white nose when you go to the beach?
Never.
I could see.
But I swim a lot, so I'm like constantly reapplying. I love the water.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
you're a reapplying guy.
I
all right.
value my skin.
I got you. Listen, I do too. I think a little sun. What's wrong with the sun? It's natural.
It's damaging.
How is it damaging? It's a natural. Don't you need sun?
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right.
I got to tell you something.
Yes.
So the last time I was on, I can't remember if it was Jerry's or confirm or deny, but the question was, are the Jays going to have the best record in the American League? I've been watching, obviously, a ton of baseball. Been watching the Yankees, been watching the Red Sox, watching some Jays, watch the Tigers, obviously. Kind of think it's like really in the cards more than I thought.
They get the best record in baseball,
more
period.
So because I've been looking at those other teams, and it's like, they're pretty flawed. And I thought that before.
Mm-hmm.
But then just watching them the last little bit, and obviously Judge goes out, and it's like, which of these teams is actually good? Houston was coming up, and like they've had some injuries, and they're like, it's like, who is good? I don't know.
That is, I think, a legitimate question. I do think clearly Detroit is in one right now, and the Jays just factored into that significantly. Like they went into Detroit, just smacked them around.
Yeah,
like absolutely smacked Detroit around. And
that game on Saturday was like the marquee game.
That was a great game because Skubal's on the mound.
Yeah,
and it's a pitching duel, and you're just buying your time. You know, you're buying your time. You're waiting for relief pitching, and obviously the Jays played it beautifully. And I thought Schneider did a great job with his lineup that day too. Like, and that's a big part of where they're at. Like they're okay. If a lefty's on the mound, we got to wait it out. But we're gonna get Barger up there. We're gonna get Loperfido up there. We're gonna get exactly. And from that standpoint, I think what came out of the weekend is John Schneider should be your favorite to win Manager of the Year.
That's wild.
I don't think it should be that close right now. And I get that there's recency bias. I understand that right now. They have the best roster. They have the best record in baseball. Now, yes, a little bit deceptive. There's teams right behind them, the Cubs, the Mets, the Brewers, Dodgers are right there. But they have the best record in baseball. And I think this is much more surprising than what the Tigers were doing. And you talk about, competition. Yeah, the American League is flawed, and we're going to see that, I think, the next 3 days.
The NL's become flawed, too.
Yeah, like there's a lot of parity in baseball, but the Central's terrible.
Yes.
Like Detroit's cleaning up on awful clubs, and sure, the Yankees are flawed, but they're still the Yankees. The Sox and the Rays are still pretty good teams, and the Jays, when they were playing those teams, they were in a better spot than they are right now, Tampa in particular.
Yep.
So I think John Schneider, especially when you consider what's going on with his roster, the injuries that he's had, how he's had to work through a lot of different kind of bullets being shot at him, I think he's done a really good job. as good, if not better, than A.J. Hinch.
I think I read a quote in one of Keegan's stories that Schneider basically said, like, today I'm like the best manager in the league, and like 2 weeks ago I was like terrible.
Very fickle.
But let me
Very
ask, like,
fickle. I get that.
Of the 4 major sports, which do you think is the hardest to like gauge the impact of the manager / head coach?
I think the most important coach in Big Four is football, clearly.
For sure.
Like, it's not even close.
And then is it basketball? Like, maybe, but like your top players kind of like.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, like, basketball and hockey are so free-flowing that you have implemented systems, but most teams kind of play the same systems. You know, there's some variations of different plays and different things you might do in basketball off the break. Do you play zone? Do you play, you know, and how your team is built, clearly. If you're a team with size, if you're a shooting team, whatever. And same thing in hockey. There's different forechecks and there's different plays off draws. And, you know, you got to get the most out of your lineup based on what that lineup is going to be. And I think hockey is more difficult to do that. In basketball, generally, you work out your 5-man starting unit, and that's kind of what it's going to be, barring some injury or someone's ball completely falls off. But for the most part, you get 3 or 4 guys you know they're going to play like 36 minutes a night, 38 minutes a night. You got to find out what your rotation is going to be, and that's important. Mm-hmm. But with hockey, you're dealing with 4 different lines, 3 different D pairings. Things can shift. They're going to have to shift. There's injuries. There's power plays. There's penalties. There's all that kind of stuff. I'd probably go football 1, hockey 2, basketball 3, baseball 4.
Yeah, right? Like baseball, it's
but I
like
think managers in baseball would understand that.
Right? You got to manage the bullpen, got to manage your starter, I guess, and you got to manage your lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, there's a cultural element to every coach and manager. Sure. There's a fundamentals element to it all. Yeah. Right? Like how does your team play? That? How do you absolutely. And there's different, like how aggressive you're going to be. You know, there's a lot of strategy in terms of they're coming up with strategy on everyone they're going to face. You know, now that might be the pitching coach that's doing that, or the hitting coach in conjunction with the manager. I think that's what sticks out more about baseball too, though, is like the specialized coaches have more of a role, I think, in, you know, how the arms are doing, the bats are doing. But you can say that about everything. Like, you know, in the NFL, the coach can't sit there and meet with 53 players every single week and come up with a game plan. You know, you got to rely on your assistants and your coordinators and the different compartments throughout your staff. But yeah, I mean, listen, and that's why you're seeing even the amount of money managers are making in baseball now. Nowhere near what it used to be. Like, there's guys making $700,000-800,000. I think Cora was, no, he left and came back, but I think he's making like $800,000.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess because the front office has so much say.
Well, that's a big part of it, I think, is that you're kind of, you're being told this is the lineup, this is what we're going to do in these situations, and you're not you're more than a glorified babysitter. You have more of a role and more input. But the days of like the larger than life, you know, La Russa type managers that are making $3, $4, $5 million and everything runs through them, those days have largely gone. Now, that I think applies to every league to some extent, except for, again, football. In the NFL, whoever the coach is, that guy basically runs everything. He's more powerful than the GM.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that the tone has changed so much on John Schneider through this tournament, but how can it not?
Winning and losing changes everything, man.
My tone with someone else on the team has changed. Never been like a big Bo guy. I don't know how you feel. Mm-hmm. He's a good player. He had that at bat. I don't know if you saw the weekend against Scooball.
Absolutely.
That might be recency bias for sure. That's the most impressive at bat I think I've seen him have. Yep. And then he followed it up with the inside-out single to right.
To win the game.
And I was like, man,
is so down.
I don't know if that's like a change, but that at bat was it 13 pitches?
Yeah, it was a lot.
And that's against Scooball.
And he was just fouling everything off. Nothing was getting past him clean. No, I know. It was he is on such a heater right now. And listen, we had John Schneider on last week, and John indicated his growth as a manager is moving him to the cleanup spot, which I think kind of clashes what we were just talking about, that may not have been the front office pushing for that. It was Schneider in conjunction with the player.
Well, because
saying we got to put him in a better spot to hit. He's not comfortable hitting leadoff.
Right, but at the beginning of the year, it was like, who is going to bat leadoff? And that's how, it was just like a process of elimination. Like, who else was going to be there? And he was just kind of the guy because it's like, who else can you put there? And you're right. And then that's an adjustment you make because it's working. And he's still batting 1 million.
Well, he's leading the like he's going to lead the league in hits. So I think he's a hit back of Judge right now, and Judge is hurt and on the IL, and that's the most significant news of the weekend.
Sure,
like what's going to happen with Aaron Judge in the future, how that affects the Yankees and what they do between now and Thursday. I think they lost 2 or 3 against Philly at home this weekend, but yeah, he's a hit back of him. He's leading the league in everything in terms of runners in scoring position. We saw that again on Saturday, like you referenced. The guy's on a heater. Like Springer's on one, Vladdy's on one, Bo's on one, and they're packaging the right pieces around them for the ultimate success.
Does this change your opinion? I don't know what your opinion was about what to do with his contract.
I would still wait until the end of the year. You're in no rush, because this is where you can become a prisoner of the moment.
Yep.
You can become a prisoner of the moment, and it goes both ways. I can't imagine Bichette would have any interest in really sitting down and talking right now. Unless you blow his doors off and say, we'll give you $400 million.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do that right now. So if you're Bichette, why wouldn't you play this out? Why wouldn't you continue on a heater, hottest team in baseball? You're a big catalyst of that. You play arguably the most prominent position in the sport. You're still in your mid to late 20s. Like, you're about to hit free agency after what could be the biggest year of your career. So if you're Bichette, I don't think you want distractions. I don't think you need to. I think you just keep playing this out. But I think if you're the Blue Jays, I would apply the same logic, because it still is July. There still anything can happen.
I guess that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, has your opinion of what they should do with him changed from the beginning of the year? Because he was coming off a not a good year.
I would be keeping Bo. If you're asking me big picture, like there's a separation. Do I think they're going to negotiate right now? No. Do I think they should? No. I mean, I don't think you just don't mess with the apple cart right now. You got so many good things going.
On August 1st and say, hey.
Exactly. And you're in a position of like you have no leverage at this point. You get the best team in the league, hottest team in the league, best record, and Bichette is going to win a batting title and all this kind of stuff. So you don't even approach him right now. But the idea of keeping your own players, I think, is imperative for this team. Like, yes, they have swung and hit on free agents. Gosman's here, Bassett's here, Springer is here. There have been guys that they can get, but I do think when you look at what happened with Vladdy, I think it's important to apply that to Alejandro Kirk, where they did that to him too. They just gave him a 5-year deal, kept him. He's a homegrown talent. I would apply that to Bichette. Like, the guys that know who you are and what you have, much easier to sell. Doesn't mean they'll give you a discount, but I think Bichette, he likes being a Blue Jay. And he's a great example of it. This time last year, he was hurt, having a miserable season. The team stunk, and it just felt like things had to change. Now you fast forward 12 months. Team's amazing. There's tons of energy. He's playing great. He's healthy. I don't see why he would want to leave. He'd want to be paid, but I'm not convinced he's dying to play somewhere else.
Is he a Boris guy?
I don't know I'm not sure who his agent is.
Okay.
I'm guessing his agent is whoever his dad had as an agent, but I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, and if it is a Boris, then that's trouble.
Then he's going to free agency.
And it's possibly some trouble. But yeah, again, I don't think this is getting caught up in the moment. I would picture a future with Bichette and Guerrero and Kirk and figure out who else is real out of this lineup. Like, Springer's having a remarkable year.
Well, and
he's not a young guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he's got a year left after this. You got to be reasonable in what you can expect out of him. But is Barger for real? Is Lucas for real? Is Clement for real? And you're going to have Varsho. You have Santander signed. Like, eventually he'll be healthy and playing for you. That seems like a pretty formidable lineup. And, like, if you're not going to sign and keep Bo, like, I know people are looking at who they just drafted last week. That kid's 18 years old. He has nothing to do with Bo Bichette. Nothing to do with Bo Bichette. They don't have a replacement for him. So it may be uncomfortable, the price. And it may be another scenario just like Vladdy, where if you got to him a year or two ago, you would have saved yourself a lot of money.
Yep.
But that ship has sailed. But I think for both parties, you let this season play out. I would think Bo certainly is going to think that way. But if I'm the Blue Jays, man, I want to keep the party going. Now, it's interesting, the viewpoint of the Jays, even though they haven't won anything compared to the other team in town, where the Vladdy Bichette, that's Matthews and Marner, and it got to a point with the Leafs where I was like, something's got to change here.
Yeah, me too.
But it's a different sport. there's a salary cap in hockey. There isn't in baseball.
Maybe there's going to be.
So this is a pretty wild story that, and this has been circulating for a while, that baseball is likely, the owners in Manfred are likely going to pursue a salary cap, which has always been an absolute no-go zone for the Players Association forever. And I guess Manfred has been doing the rounds, like I guess he's want to do. Like I guess he goes to every clubhouse maybe halfway through the year around the All-Star break, has a little check-in. And according to Jeff Passan of ESPN and others, he was with, I guess he was in New York, and I'm sure he was talking to the Yankees and he was talking to the Phillies. And he was talking about the idea of a salary cap. And I guess Bryce Harper jumped up, got right in his face, and said, if you're going to talk about a salary cap, get the hell out of our clubhouse, and basically kicked them out of the clubhouse.
Well, and I think actually Rob went back at him and said, I'm not going to get the blank out of here. And they continued the discussion.
Which is great.
Sounds
nose
great.
to nose. It's like a manager and an umpire, commissioner and a superstar. So I get why, listen, the players are going to be anti-salary cap, as they should be, I think.
They
you know,
should.
like you never know. Like you look at the NHL. Now, the top guys should never want a salary cap. And in the NHL, there's no questioning Connor McDavid should be making way more than 12.5. And if there wasn't a salary cap implemented in 05, he'd probably be making $20 million or 22 or 23. Yeah. But I would argue the middle of the pack guys and the lower end guys, they have benefited from a salary cap. Putting a floor in has forced a lot of teams to spend money on guys that should not be making $3 million a year or $4 million or $5 million. But still, that's just based on my analysis of how they play compared to the superstars.
So you're anti-labor?
No, I'm just a realist when it comes to when you have a certain pot of money that has to be spent, some of it's going to be spent in a stupid manner. Like some guys are just going to get overpaid. It's just going to happen.
You have a salary cap just so the owners can't really make. It's just to protect them.
Well, that's exactly why the players, of course, are going to hate it.
Right.
And that's what it is. And it's always sold bogusly that, it's about the fans and it's about keeping
competitive balance.
And it's completely bogus.
Yeah. And
the NHL is a great example of that. Like, that's what Bettman was selling. We got to lose a full season because we need to help the fans. He couldn't care less about the fans. That was about the owners and protecting themselves against each other. And I think propping up the markets that, quite frankly, can't keep up. And that's why I've always hated the hard salary cap, because it was more about the Arizonas and the Floridas, ironically enough, although now they're taking full advantage of it, as opposed to the Torontos and the New Yorks and the Montreals and the Bostons. But I don't want to see a salary cap in baseball. I hate that you have to be a mathematician all the time, and you're like, even look how we look at Vladdy. If Vladdy, we look at $500 million. Wow, that's a ton. Expectations are heightened. No one ever talks about his actual amount per year,
or like the percentage,
yeah, exactly.
There is no percentage, right?
Like if he's making $40 million a year and it's 20% of your cap, it's a completely different conversation about him.
Yeah,
I don't want to have that conversation. I get it enough in the NHL. I get it in the NBA. I hate this new NBA CBA. It's so stupid.
It's really hard to understand.
It's incredibly difficult to understand, and ultimately it penalizes teams that I think do great work. You draft, you develop, you just have to lose players because you can't go over a certain number. Football can be complicated as well, and they've got a kind of a moving scale. It's more about guaranteed money. It's a very difficult system to figure out. I get enough salary cap everywhere else.
Yeah.
I don't need it in baseball. I don't want it in baseball. Give me a break. Give fans a break. We don't need a salary cap in every single league.
But do you think it's coincidence that this is happening after the 765 to my boy?
You're talking Juan Soto?
And then obviously, what was Ohtani's? Was it
Ohtani was 700 on the nose. And then Vladdy's
kind of feels like.
I think that's probably a part of it. And it does seem like.
And Vladdy gets 500 million?
Yeah. But at the same time, you would look at, I would think, if you're the manager or the commissioner or one of the owners of these teams, and effectively you are the gatekeeper of the game, you just had Yankees, Dodgers in the World Series. You have Judge on the East Coast, Ohtani on the West Coast. You have an incredible setup this year. You got the Cubs flying. They're coming alive. There's a lot of parity in the league. There's a lot of different teams that seemingly win, or at least are in competition. The Dodgers don't win every single year. Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. So you're really cooking. It seems like baseball is really moving in the right direction with all these implemented rules that have been put in place. And you're going to shut that down for a salary cap when no fans, I don't think fans really care. Like maybe a few markets, a handful, maybe Tampa. Because again, sorry, Jonas, it's not about the ceiling with those teams. It's about the floor. That's the important distinction. When you say salary cap, it's not about capping the Yankees at $250 million or the Dodgers at $300 million. It's about forcing Tampa to spend $125 million and forcing the A's to spend $125 million. That's really what it's about.
You think so? I think it's both.
Well, I'm saying from
like
a fan perspective.
If there was a cap.
I'm saying from a fan perspective. If you benefit, if teams are going to benefit from a cap, it's about forcing the smaller teams to actually spend and maybe keep some
and not
players.
Take the revenue sharing check. And
Which
just
is like what I hear over the years about what certain teams are making, including Oakland.
Yes,
like making a lot of money because of the revenue sharing and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. But then they don't reinvest.
Pretty smart as a business. I guess it's not.
But you don't reinvest. You're never any good. And,
sucks.
And you're leaving. And I guess maybe you'll invest once you get to Vegas. But, yeah, I have no interest in it. I am pro Bryce Harper on
probably
this.
It would lead to a shutdown of some kind, right?
Most certainly it would. Now, how long it'll last, that's always the question. And that's what ultimately sucks. Again, if you're a fan, things are cooking here. Everything's moving in the right direction. Baseball's hot again. You got all these new rules. You got all these superstars in big markets. And you're going to shut it down for a salary cap. And what if it does cost you a year? It very well could. It cost the NHL one. Why would baseball be any different?
I guess because you think in the long run it doesn't really matter. We don't talk about the lockout in, was it 12-13?
Yeah. Well, 20 years ago was the original one.
Right. And then
that implemented the salary cap.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. In 12-13, there was another one, shortened season. They only played 48 games.
Right. But we don't talk about that anymore.
No, you're right.
People forget.
But the Baseball Players Association historically has always been the strongest. Always the strongest. Always.
Not like the NFLPA?
Always the weakest. Generally going to peeler joints and spending money, doing silly stuff. But like in '94, I think that was a strike.
Yes.
That wasn't a lockout. That was the players said, see you later.
And that was the Expos' great year?
Yeah. And that was after the Jays went back to back. And Expos, that's right. They're arguably the best team and on pace to chase a World Series, and they never got that back.
But you just wonder, like, what would – we can't know because it's all hypothetical, but, like, if there was no cap in the NHL right now, what would McDavid's contract be? Like, would teams just sign him to, like, 15-year deals if he wanted to?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. If it's open season like baseball, for starters, I don't know if he's in Edmonton, although Daryl Cates has a lot of money. A lot of money. Like, he's a multi-billionaire, so maybe he'd be willing to pay it. But – yeah, I think let's say he was coming up for free agency like this year and he hits the market. I think he's probably, if he wants, probably signing like a 15-year, I don't know. What is it?
Whatever he wants,
$250 million deal or something. Like if you're the Leafs, let's say you're the Leafs.
You'd offer him whatever he wants.
Yeah. He goes, I'll come play with you. You give me a 10-year, $250 million deal. Why would they not give that to him? They just gave Vladdy $500 million.
Yeah, no question. They would probably pay him double.
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you? If you're New York, why wouldn't you do that?
But you know what else it does, like with the salary cap? Like it's bad for players in the sense that we think of them, we attach their value to their contract, which you can't avoid. Mm-hmm. We don't do that in baseball because we just don't really know what people are making relative. Like, I don't know what people are making.
Also because you can get out from underneath it if it's a big issue. Like, the pressure still goes to the owner.
Right.
That guy's not pulling his weight. You better still spend, right? You better not stop spending because there's still budgets. You know, like teams still have budgets. Just because there's no salary cap doesn't mean anyone in the league can spend $300 million.
But we weren't saying in the offseason, we weren't saying they can't spend on Vlad because like they've got this Springer contract that still is this year and next. Like, we don't talk about that.
Absolutely not.
And that's all we talk about in the NHL.
And that's a big conversation, even with Vladdy signing, is like the Blue Jays and their ownership proving, which I think they will, this is not going to stop them from spending more in the future. You know, because there is a budget, but if Vladdy's going to take up a huge chunk of it, is that going to stop you from acquiring a piece that's going to cost you this amount of money? Like, you look at a guy like Scherzer. Like, again, it's totally different because the NHL is such a strict, hard cap. There's no flexibility. But the equivalent of Scherzer in the NHL is signing a PTO for $850,000.
It's Max Pacioretty.
Yeah, you're getting $850,000.
$850,000.
He got $15 million.
Yeah, which is more than anyone in the
and nobody cares.
Yeah,
like good for
money.
good for Max. Yeah, it's not our money. It's a 1-year deal. It's not a big commitment. Go for it. Better spend. So yeah, that's the number one reason why I have no interest in a salary cap is because I get it enough in the other leagues. We are constantly, to your point, evaluating players through the lens of a calculator. Well, he made 5.5, but he played like he was a 4.75 player. It's like, what the hell does that even mean? I've said stuff like that. I'm like, what point am I making? Is he a good player or a bad player?
Right. You and I were arguing about Marner and like how much too much.
Exactly.
Like, what?
And that's a perfect example. Do you like the player? Then you should keep the player. But there is a point where you're like, that's stupid. You can't give him $14 million. Well, why not? He's a good player.
That was the thing.
But you can't.
You can't give him 14, but you can give him 12 and a half.
But that's exactly. We get that enough in these other leagues. I don't need it in baseball. I don't want to look at Bichette and say, that's a big chunk of the cap. I like him. Good player, homegrown guy. Just had the best year of his career. Can't give him that money. But we'll see. Does Manfred have the courage to fight it out like he almost did with Bryce Harper in the clubhouse?
Where do you think he ranks among the commissioners in terms of like fan popularity?
I think might be at the top now because of all these rules. The rule changes.
In terms of liked?
Yes. Manfred?
Well, it's not
pitch
like the
clock,
others are...
Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
those are not well liked.
Bettman, Goodell, like Adam Silver's getting crushed.
Yeah, it's not been
like
good.
Silver came into the league.
He was number one.
Everyone loved Silver, and he was so progressive, and he had all these great ideas.
I still like him.
I don't like what he's done with the league.
No,
I don't like the CBA. I think there's a lot. Like the NBA's not a great place right now, and he has to be partially responsible for that.
Sure.
But Goodell and Bettman are just they're just there, and they've been there forever, disliked. And you know who they are, and you know how they operate.
Yeah.
So I think Manfred is probably at the top of the list. But if there's a lockout, you go to the bottom of the list.
Do you remember when he was practicing his golf swing?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite clips ever during the CBA negotiation.
Well, he'll have more time.
And he got the job done. They ended up working out that CBA, but you're right. Remember that? Like during spring training, they're like, teams like, we're here, but I don't think we're going to make it to day one. I'm not convinced we're going to play. These guys better be knocking out a deal right now. Manfred's working on his wedge game on a balcony
I'm
somewhere.
sure you do that in between, like you're waiting to do a sports center. Hey, you're probably doing the same thing.
I would do that, but I'm not the commissioner, right? I'm not like there aren't millions and millions of people relying on me to get something done. Sounds kind of familiar to what's going on in our country right now. We're going to get things done. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, what do we have here? Keegan Matheson coming up in about a half an hour. Patrick McEnroe will join us later this afternoon as well, as the National Bank Open is officially on. Vasek Pospisil, end of his career, unbelievable career, but losing and leaving last night. And the ladies are out in Montreal. We'll get you updates on that. And also we've got Ryan Dinwiddie coming up, the Argos. He said it last week. They have to create some chaos to get back into the race. They created it over the weekend. Big win, but some not necessarily positive news on Chad Kelly. So we'll get into that and more with the head coach of the Argos in a couple of hours. Jonas Siegelin here. I'm Brian Hayes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. We're just talking about salary cap in baseball and these reports of Rob Manfred and Bryce Harper nose to nose, battling it out.
If you were going to pick, like I told you, an MLB player went nose to nose with the commissioner, he would probably be the player you pick.
Yeah, I think Harper, maybe Schwarber, who's probably right behind him.
Maybe Scherzer.
Possibly Scherzer. Possibly. Like, it's got to be a veteran who's made a lot, but also played with the previous era, who, those guys were always anti-salary cap. And that's what the union always talks about whenever this comes up. Like, we're not just doing it for us. We're doing it for the guys who were here before us that fought hard to avoid these kind of things. And that's where I'm sure Harper probably feels he has to come into play on this.
But the problem is, like, and this is why I guess salary caps always end up happening, is like, what can you do if you're the players? Like,
eventually
the owners are just too rich.
Yeah,
they can afford this.
That's the problem. Like, most of these owners, if not all of them, these are vanity purchases for them. They have other jobs.
Like, cool, we'll sit out a year.
Yeah, that's the issue. And that's what happened in the NHL. The players were rallying, rah, this is great, we're going to war. And like, I've talked to Noodles, a bunch of guys. They're all like, no chance, we're not doing this, no way. And then at the end, it was like, yeah, we got to have a salary cap.
Yeah, it's like a year
why
later,
didn't we talk about that?
Well, because like a year later, you're like, man, like, I can't go another year.
Well, and here's another thing that, again, this is from Noodles, that would happen is, like, the older guys ran the show, ran the union. Right back then, it was the Chelios and guys like that. And that's the Harpers and, guys that have been around the block, maybe Scherzer. And they're going to sit there. They've made their money. They have their money. They're going to sit there and say, no, we're fighting this. And then there were younger players back with the NHLPA that said, shouldn't we at least think about what this could look like? And if it ends up happening, maybe we can win somehow if we say, okay, we'll accept that, but we also got to get this. Mm-hmm. And then it became all this like, shut up and sit down. You're not. And then in the end, that's exactly what ended up happening. And I'll bet you this is what is going to happen in baseball if it gets that far. If they miss a season, the players are going to lose. Yeah. And the younger players are going to say, well, I'll take a salary cap because I'm just starting and I kind of want to, I got to play. I got to make some money.
Yeah.
But Doug tweeting in saying, of course, fans care about a salary cap for baseball. The costs that are pushed onto the fans with seats and concessions is crazy and only getting worse with all the salaries ballooning out of control. Hate to break it to you, Doug. A salary cap is not going to have any effect on what you're paying at the ballpark. Nothing to do with it. They could implement a salary cap tonight. Rogers isn't calling up season ticket holders and saying, we're sending back 25%.
Good news.
Good news. We're sending back 25%.
$9 for your
next
bottle
year,
of water.
Exactly. Next year, tickets are going to be half off because of the salary cap.
Yeah.
They're never getting that cat back in the bag. Unfortunately, the fan is always going to get screwed. And that's what bothers me about this is the owners will claim that. We got to do it for the fans. Got to help. They don't. It's not about the fans. They don't care about the fans. Care about the bottom line.
Do you think? I haven't thought about this, but do you think pre-salary cap NHL is better than post-salary cap NHL?
In terms of the style of play?
I don't know. Like, take that whatever way you want it. Like, is it a better product now? And is it because of? If it is it because of the cap? And
I'm not sure the cap has anything to do with it.
Like, was it better before 04-05? When the Rangers, the Leafs, could just spend whatever they wanted. Was that better?
I don't know, because I think there is an element of nostalgia. You look back on those dynasties and say, man, that was a lot of fun. Yeah. To watch Detroit, to watch Colorado.
Your team together. You weren't penalized for building a good team.
But what also coincided with the implementation of the salary cap was a very different league in terms of style of play. Right. Like clutching and grabbing, they attack.
But those are like separate, right? It happens at the same time, but it's kind of separate.
Yeah, they were separate, but they were implemented at the same time.
Right, so how can you judge?
Yeah, like 3-on-3 and shootouts and all that kind of stuff. So it is a little bit different. I'm not sure playoff hockey's any different. I think it's just as great. It's not as rough. It's not as tough. Like, the game has taken on a different complexion, but that has nothing to do with the salary cap, I don't think.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think every league evolves. Every league gets faster, quicker. Athletes are better today than they were 20 years ago.
Like, I guess what I'm getting to is, our fans
disservice? I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Leaf fan, you're bummed out, but you were kind of bummed out before it anyway. Like, they hadn't, yes, it's been 20 more years of them not winning, but 20 years ago, they were still almost 40 years deep.
Yeah.
You mentioned Max Scherzer, and that's one thing that came out of the weekend. Like yesterday, pitched pretty well, almost hit 100 pitches, well over 90. Gave up that home run, though. That's been his Achilles heel. Continues to give up home runs. Gave up multiple home runs against the Yankees 6 days ago. When do we transition from it's just great that he's healthy to can he help them win? When does that transition
I don't think that
happen?
ever happens.
So it'll be more focused, even with the team winning.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're going to play even more important games as you get down the stretch. It's going to be simply, can he give you 90 pitches, as opposed to can he actually win ball games and pitch like the Max Scherzer you thought you might be getting? Because he's been fine, but he hasn't been great. He's not the reason they lost yesterday. And again, they took 3 of 4. They're in a great position. I do think it was a positive that he pitched as much as he did yesterday. The amount of pitches he's throwing, he looks comfortable. He's battling, but he's prone to give up home runs. Again, happened yesterday. Happened multiple times against the Yankees. At some point, don't you need to transition collectively, but certainly as a team, from, hey, pat on the back, thanks for giving us 95 pitches and your fingers held up or your elbow held up, to we need you to be a horse here. We need you to produce and be a guy that we can rely on.
I guess, it depends what they do at the deadline. Who do they get? Do they get anyone? Do they get just bullpen help?
I think
No
this
starters?
is what they have to determine, though.
But he's always going to be in the mix no matter what, I think, playoff-wise. Right? Like at
Not if he's a disaster.
But he's not a disaster.
And he's not been a disaster. And he was not a disaster yesterday.
You're kind of counting on like the well of experience and dominance that he has. You're not expecting that, but I think you're always leaning back on, can he give you 4 innings to start game, whatever.
So it's like a spring training evaluation for every start he has during the regular season.
He just has such it's not the same thing. Like we brought up Pacioretty, but it was kind of like you didn't really care almost like what he did in the regular season. Like the whole purpose of signing him was the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have like a great regular season. He was hurt a lot. He wasn't playing to start the playoffs. And then he gets in. It's just like he's awesome. He was probably their best player in the second round, which is
it was really good. Really good.
And I kind of think like there are some parallels there. Like Scherzer is another planet compared to Pacioretty, like in terms of
his career
and
yes, accolades
like that.
and all that.
But I kind of think it's the same thing where you're hoping you get to the playoffs. And like this is like if you're ranking like big game pitchers from the last 20 years, he's one of the top 3. He might even be one. Like it's Verlander. Is it him and Verlander? Is just 1, 2 in some order? Like big game pitchers. Yeah,
in terms of like horses of this era.
No, just like you have a big game.
Yeah.
This is the guy you want. He might be number 1. He's not that guy anymore, so like you probably have to put that aside.
I don't know historically, like if you're throwing Schilling in there.
No, I'm talking last 20 years.
Yeah,
just this era. I think it's probably him and Verlander.
Yeah, I mean Kershaw unfortunately didn't have that playoff reputation.
Right,
it was a complete opposite. But those are the big 3 in terms of like their resumes.
Right.
Yeah, I would say it's Verlander. I'd go probably Verlander ahead of Scherzer.
Sure.
Just because of Houston years.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I think
that's
that
pretty
earns
good
him the credibility where even if he's just okay during the regular season, you're just like, you know what, okay, that's fine. Just be healthy.
All right, we'll ask Keegan that. Keegan Matheson coming up in about 20 minutes. The Jays are in Baltimore. They got a game tonight, a doubleheader tomorrow, and then, of course, on Wednesday, a getaway game. And look at their schedule coming up. They've got Baltimore for 4, Kansas City, and then at Colorado for 3. So the next 10 games, this is a really telling opportunity.
Can't have a letdown.
Cannot have a letdown. You got to be thinking 8-2 here. Like, get greedy and push the envelope and keep pushing the Yankees behind you and the Sox behind you. Don't take your foot off the gas. Keegan on that, more coming up in about 20. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Sale GP lives here.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
David sliding into my DMs saying Madison Bumgarner's a guy you got to remember for big games.
Good one.
Mad Bum was
That's
a
a
machine.
great shout. Yeah.
And you know what's great about him was he won the World Series MVP that year when Rick Wilde, the Chevy guy from Kansas City, gave him the MVP.
Is that when he got the car?
Yeah, he got the car, and it was Aaron Andrews and Bud Selig and Madison Bumgarner sitting there.
Technology and stuff.
Yeah, that was that actually skyrockets him to the top of my list. If you're affiliated with Chevy Guy in any capacity, you are a legend. We need to play that today. Any reason I can play. It's my favorite clip in 15 years at TSN.
Technology and stuff.
We were still on Leafs lunch back then. So we weren't even doing kind of all sports. We weren't in the afternoon. And, generally that would have been the World Series, late October, I guess. Leafs would have been playing. There would have been a lot going on probably in the hockey world. And I remember watching that live and saying 15 minutes to start the show.
Clear the show out.
Clear the show out. Leave it open first hour. And the boys knew too. They're like, are you watching this guy? We had a group chat going. Like, bring your A game. Because we're breaking down Chevy Guy tomorrow.
Technology and stuff.
So I'll let you, if you're not familiar with Rick Wilde,
I
Chevy
vaguely
Guy.
remember it. They don't really do that anymore. Maybe that's why.
Because of him. Like that was the end. They were like, this is crazy. Like I get Chevy's paying a lot of money for this, but you cannot have a regional sales manager standing beside the commissioner, Aaron Andrews, and the MVP of the World Series, breaking down what's in the brand new Chevy Tahoe. There he is. Look at Rick, man. He looks like $1 million. Madison Bumgarner, free truck.
Does look like the kind of truck that Mad Bum would drive.
He would love that truck. Yeah. Still loves that truck, I guarantee it. And Rick sold it, man. I want that truck. I want the one from 15. I don't want a current one. I want the old school one. All right, so Chevy Guy in the next hour. Keegan Matheson coming up. He was in Detroit all weekend. What did he take out of the Jays winning 3 of 4? What can we expect tonight? Starting in Baltimore, and we're 4 days away from the trade deadline. Ross Atkins, we're waiting for you. When's the news coming? More on that into the next hour. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
I need you to hold on. Heaven is a place not too far away.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Keegan Matheson coming up in Baltimore. Jays, Orioles tonight. Get an update on Alejandro Kirk, who had to leave the game for precautionary purposes when he took a comebacker off the cage, off the helmet, and now he's been placed on the 7-day IL, concussion. But John Schneider saying that he's progressing, seemingly in a better place today than I guess he was yesterday. So we'll catch up with Keegan, try to get you more of an update on Kirk and his status moving forward, his take on Scherzer's start yesterday, and what we can expect out of the Jays as we get closer to the trade deadline, because other teams are starting to make moves. The Jays have been quiet. Haven't done anything yet.
I mean, there's been like 3 trades,
couple moves.
4 trades.
Yankees being
got
one
Ryan
of them.
McMahon.
Yeah.
You're pumped about that?
Yankees
he
being
had a
one
really
of
good
them.
weekend, actually.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Get out of Colorado. You're going to be pretty happy.
What do you I've been wanting to ask you about this Class A thing.
Yes. So the closer for the Guardians,
Who might have gotten traded, but probably not.
was on the, like, he was a name that was out there, certainly. He is now being investigated because of possibly gambling implications. I'm trying to phrase it properly.
Yeah, I think it's
Like basically, someone's been
they're
tipped off that there's some funky business going on. And what I was reading today, again, these are just the allegations at this point, is that it's like first pitch in the count is where they think maybe something flared up. So you get like empty bases, new batter up. He's throwing more wild on that first pitch than he is in any other count, and it's pretty substantial. So I guess you can bet like first pitch ball, and I'm assuming, again, we don't know all the details of what baseball's looking at or who tipped them off, because you presume it's one of the gambling companies clearly that have picked this up that have indicated that there could be something going on there.
And his teammate is already being
Yeah, that's right.
Luis Ortiz.
So he's on a paid leave, and he's going to be out for a while.
I feel like we're headed towards something like crazy with this stuff at some point, because it's been happening in every single league. Like Michael Beasley is, I believe, being investigated in the NBA. Terry Rozier, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Seen it in hockey. We've seen it in football.
Well, it was the Raptor, right? You had Jonte Porter.
I don't know. And it just feels like you would think if you're one of these players, like you're probably like, I can do this pretty easily and no one's going to notice.
Well, see, that's where I would push back on that these are examples of them noticing. Like they are
they're
picking
noticing
up
because
on
like suddenly one of these companies is like, why are there 15,000 bets on this
Exactly.
one stupid thing?
And that's always been my stance on legalizing gambling. Is what you're really doing from a sports integrity standpoint is you're regulating. You're regulating where the money's coming from. The money's dark. You don't know. Like that's the old. Now you can find out again. The Black Sox and throwing the World Series and stuff like that. You can find out. But if it's in a back alley or someone's gone, a player's in deep because they have a gambling problem themselves and they're going to pay off their debt by doing something,
right,
and it's not on the books anywhere, that can be more difficult to track. But to your point, when they see, okay, this is weird. Why are people betting props on Jonte Porter? Who the hell is doing that? And they all hit, something's up. Right? If it's like, okay, there's a lot of money coming in on Class A's first pitch ball. Why is that all of a sudden?
But people have gotten caught. Why is it still happening?
Well, there's idiots out there, first and foremost. There's stupid
I
people.
said Michael Beasley. It's Malik Beasley. Like, he's a good player. Like, he was going to be a free agent this summer. He was going to get paid, and now he's just, like, probably done.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's something that the leagues, they have to be very, very strict on. Like, you have to be strict on your rules. Absolutely no gambling. None of it. But it's way more nefarious when you are throwing props. And that's what's happening here. They're props. You're not throwing the games. You're giving freebies to people that are playing props.
Right.
And that's always been the concern with live betting and with props. And it's difficult to regulate, but they are finding some guys. I'm sure there's a lot, though, that have slipped through the cracks. And that is a legitimate question into the future. We'll get into that more later this hour. Jays, Baltimore tonight, coming off another very, very successful weekend in Detroit. Here's our main man, Keegan Matheson of MLB.com, who has gone from beautiful Detroit to beautiful Baltimore. Man, is this an upgrade, a downgrade? How would you describe the two cities?
Wow. Can you move side to side on the bottom floor of a building, guys? I don't know. This is tough.
Yeah.
It's a glamour roadie, I'll tell you. It's incredibly hot. Thank God I'm so skinny. Otherwise, this would be a troubling road trip. But this is the one I've had circled on the calendar, guys, all year. Maybe not for good reasons, but it's been circled, and we're going to get through it. 1 game tonight, 2 tomorrow. I think tomorrow the Humidex is going to be like 48 or 50 here. So if this is my last appearance, guys, it's been a thrill. It's really been an honor.
It's been great having you on, man. We appreciate you doing this and battling the elements. So what's the mood like around this team, especially when you add into the context the fact that we got the trade deadline in 3 or 4 days?
Guys, it's never been better, honestly, in my time around the team. And it's really noticeable because we were here last year having the same conversation in a completely different direction. And I remember being in this same clubhouse in Baltimore in these same hallways when you would see players coming in and out. And John Schneider said, we just talked to him now, that guys were kind of scared to walk by his office. They were scared to make eye contact with him because that probably meant you were getting a conversation and you were getting traded. And this year is the complete other side of that. There's an energy to it. There's always some apprehension and some anxiety because maybe someone from this roster is dealt. But last year it was a fire sale, and the Blue Jays were kind of waving that flag right now in Baltimore. But this is the other side, man. This is why you play. This is what these Blue Jays players have given the front office every reason to do, which is be aggressive, and go for this. You know, this should be a week that launches them forward, and they're already the best team in baseball, so getting launched forward sounds pretty good right now.
So what are you hearing in terms of what Ross and Mark could have cooking at this point as we get closer to the trade deadline?
Guys, I think it's heavy pitching still at this point of the deadline, and if MLB front offices are tight-lipped, the Blue Jays are number one in that division. But pitching continues to be what I hear most around this team. And if this was a different year in a different market, I would say they've got to go out and get that ace. You know how most years there's that rental ace who's 36, 37, they're in that one last year of a contract. This market doesn't really have that guy. Jacob deGrom isn't going to be dealt, I don't think. We saw Seth Lugo extended with the Royals yesterday. I don't think there's that top-end pitcher. I don't. But there are some mid-range guys that I don't think would really help the Blue Jays this year. That brings me to the bullpen. And a big bullpen, a super bullpen, I think is a pretty logical way to go about this, guys. They have the money to do that. They have the prospects to do that. They have the motivation to do it. It's going to be a crowded market. When you look around at top-end names like Duran, Cade Smith, looking through Helsley, Mason Miller, like these are big primetime relievers. These are guys who can close playoff games. They will be expensive, but at this time of year, that's what you're going for. If you're the Blue Jays, it's about raising the ceiling. I don't care about a 26th guy in the roster or a 24th. You need somebody who can change a game, who can win a game in October, and that's the level the Blue Jays should be shopping at.
So, Keegan, that's what you're talking about here? We're talking like a high-end closer. We're not talking about a seventh-inning kind of guy.
Yeah, I think it needs to include a high end. Now, if you do that and you also add somebody who can pitch in that sixth, seventh, fantastic. Somebody who would do more of Jimmy Garcia's job and maybe do it alongside him when he's back, great. That's a good thing. But any way that the Blue Jays address this bullpen, guys, needs to have a headliner. It needs to have a big name because good teams have one closer. The Blue Jays are a very good team, and they have Jeff Hoffman, who can be a very good closer. But great teams and World Series teams, they have two closers. They have three, and the Jays aren't there quite yet. This bullpen's been pretty good. It's been impressive how they have pieced it together. Lots of names like Brendan Little and Braden Fisher, who I did not expect all of this from. Full credit to those guys. But when you go out and add a big name, another closer to this bullpen, suddenly it's a strength. Right now it's okay, but you can make it a real strength. And eventually, guys, the idea I keep coming back to is that in October, whether it's October 7th or 10th or 28th, there's going to be an inning that completely determines how we remember this season for the Jays. And if you have one extra closer caliber guy, that inning looks a lot better.
With Keegan Matheson, what are you hearing on Alejandro Kirk, and how are the Jays going to handle this if he is out for an extended period of time?
So Kirk is here. I saw him in the clubhouse today, walking around. He did a little bit of baseball stuff today, so that's encouraging as a step one. Of course, the disclaimer is that a concussion, you never know. This is not a sprained ankle. With a concussion, there can be setbacks. It can be tricky. But everything so far, guys, is pretty encouraging. If he were not here today, I'd be worried. But he's around the clubhouse. He's hanging out with the guys, did a bit on the field earlier, apparently, John Schneider said. So if they can keep that to even just under a couple of weeks, fantastic. That's a big win. Because if you're going to go out and try to add a catcher on the trade market, I mean, good luck. You've got to bring your wallet to do that. Nobody's trading catching. I always say it's like quarterbacks in the NFL. There's just not enough. So if you're going to trade for a catcher, you are probably going to get toasted on what you have to give up. So for now, Tyler Heineman, Ali Sanchez, they can hold it down for the time being. But Alejandro Kirk, man, is a real contender for MVP on this team. They need him, and ideally they're only without him for another week. We'll see.
With Keegan Matheson, something to chew on, brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP, where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you'll get it all in 20 minutes or less. A fast lunch doesn't have to be fast food. See you for a $15 fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza. We're asking people, if you could get an honest answer, 100% honesty from Ross Atkins on one of these three topics, which would you choose? His trust in Max Scherzer, his faith in Vladdy's power numbers down the stretch, or his thoughts on re-signing Bo Bichette? Which would you take?
Oh, man, I want this Ross Atkins truth serum, fellas. This sounds fun. I've dreamed of this my whole career. Boy.
Yes, it would be great.
I think it's Bo Bichette for me, guys, because I don't think we've talked about Bo enough. By we, I mean myself. Like there's so many other big stories with this team. They're the best team in baseball. Vladdy's coming back. There's the trade deadline. Bo has somehow been under the radar here, and these past few days, he looks as good as he has all season, which means that he looks as good as he has in a couple of years. And when he hits free agency, guys, I think he's going to be one of the most interesting free agents we've seen in years in Major League Baseball, because some teams will think he's a shortstop and is going to hit forever. Some teams will look at him and say, whoa, you're really slowing down. You're a second baseman. We don't know about the bat. There's going to be a big range. But Bo has always said, guys, that he wants to be in Toronto. He wants to play with Vladdy. And I know that he does not sing and dance as much as everybody wants him to, but that's not who he is. He's not going to go to L.A. and be dancing around like Vladdy. Bo is reserved. That's okay. But every time I talk to him, he's said the exact same thing, which is that he loves it here. He wants to be here. Of course, money wins every single time. Don't get too sentimental about it, but he has said all the right things, and he looks like Bo Bichette again, guys. If he gets hot down the stretch, that's going to be a massive story, because a hot Bo Bichette alongside a hot Vladimir Guerrero Jr., isn't that supposed to be how this looked all along? Like, it's taken way too long, but that's what it was supposed to be all along these past 5 or 6 years, and they might be able to pull it off.
When was the last time he said that?
A few days ago.
Okay, there you go.
You're scarred, eh?
I'm just curious.
Sorry, Keegan. There's a Mitch Marner is scarred.
It's just one of those things. You know, he's red hot right now.
A few days ago in Toronto, and I told him I kind of have a rule with these guys. I said the same thing to Danny Jansen last year, that unless you give me a real reason to, I'm not going to badger you about this every day. So my rule, kind of personally, is that when a guy's in the contract year, I'll pick one spot mid-season and I'll check in with you. And for me, that was Bo Bichette last week, because he was talking about how incredible the fans were. He was talking about growing up, watching this team with Bautista, Donaldson. It seemed like he was being as sentimental as Bo Bichette can be. And I thought that was a good time. And the way he worded it after he thought very carefully, because he's a pretty intentional guy, was that he wants to win. He wants to be somewhere that wants to win for him. And he wants to be somewhere with a great crowd. And he said that Toronto's checking off all of those boxes right now.
Keegan, I was saying to Hayes earlier that at-bat he had over the weekend against Skubal it's recency, but it was probably the best at-bat I can remember him having.
Yeah.
How do you think, or what do you think has evolved with him this year? Is it anything? Is he just hot? How do you think his approach has changed? What do you think is going on?
He's such a feel hitter, guys, and what I mean by that is that it's not all mechanical. Now, some hitters, when they're struggling, it's, I need to get my foot down at the right time, my shoulder's in the wrong place, my hips are open, and that's a lot of complicated stuff. Bo's not like that. It's natural athleticism. He's not a mechanics freak. And I think he's got his feel back, and he has his confidence back. And when Bichette is at his best, he's very annoying. He's an extremely annoying hitter to face. And that's such a compliment to him as a pro, because to do that against Skubal is ridiculous. This is a guy that does not get brought that deep very often. And to have a 5-hit game, it changes this whole lineup, guys. It wears a pitcher out. It wears a defense out. And it's so rare to see a hitter in charge of an at-bat. The pitcher gets the ball first. Take it first move. It's always about the pitcher. When Vladdy's at his best, you can see him control an at-bat sometimes. When Aaron Judge is at his best, you see him do it. Bo can do it in a different way, man. He can drag it on. And a 10-pitch walk or a 12-pitch single, that lifts up a dugout as much as a 500-foot homer. Man, it does something to a big league dugout, and that's Bo at his best. If the pitcher looks really annoyed, Bo Bichette's winning.
So Max Scherzer, he threw a lot of pitches yesterday. He looked pretty good for the majority of the game. He gave up another big home run, which he has been prone to do all season when he has been healthy. He did it the previous outing against the Yankees. I asked this question to Jonas earlier. I'm curious how you stand on it. At what point, if at all, during the regular season, do we transition from just want to see him healthy, great to see him out there, to this next layer of can he actually help them win, and you really evaluate the production? When does that happen in terms of how we view Max Scherzer and how he starts every fifth day?
Hopefully a week ago. I mean, right now. It's got to be, because to see Scherzer, I think 90 pitches, his last couple, now 96. The thumb and all of that conversation should be gone at this point, hopefully, ideally. At this point, it's all about production. And, yes, it's great that he's Max Scherzer. He's in year 18. He's a Hall of Famer, Cy Young winner. Fantastic. I think that it's time to judge everyone on production. Going into August, into September, all that matters is what you can do right now. I think patience goes out the window in some certain ways. And outside of that home run, guys, which I know is a big sentence, but outside of that, he looked fantastic. The strikeouts were there, the velocity was there, the aggression was there. We just need to see him get through one without that big blow, because he allowed 2 home runs in each of those last ones. And beyond that, it's been a problem for him, that home run ball. Now, if he has an outing without the home run ball, boom, we are talking about this is Max Scherzer. He's all the way back, not just as a number 5, but as a guy who can start postseason games. That's where my curiosity is now. Who is Max Scherzer on October 5th in an ALDS or a wild card series? Is he someone who can start game 3, or is he someone who the Blue Jays are trying to shorten up and get 2 or 3 innings out of? I don't know if I want to be the guy that tells Max Scherzer he's coming out of the bullpen, but any way to win, man, when you're 41. It's time right now, and I think he's got it. He's just got to avoid the big blow. Keeps getting them.
With Keegan Matheson, so you got 10 games coming up here if you're the Blue Jays, 4 in Baltimore, and then 3 against Kansas City, 3 at Colorado. What do you think is a reasonable expectation? What has to be the floor here, I guess, on those 10 games against 3, pretty bad teams?
They've got to keep this rolling like they are right now. I mean, this feels like a classic time where you blow through the Yankees and blow through Detroit, who's a great team, and then stumble against a bad team. Mm-hmm. But this year's team has kind of avoided that, which is maybe most impressive of all to me. They've avoided the letdown games. Even coming out of the break, guys, I expected maybe they stumble a bit, go 500 through New York and Detroit. They didn't. They handled their business. So I think they need to keep going in this exact same pace, guys. You're going to have some duds along the way. Listen, the 10-4 loss in Detroit, I'm the last guy in the world to just wipe away losses, but when you have the best record in baseball, you're going to have some duds. You're just going to. And at this point, guys, they need to keep the momentum rolling. And I think that sense of momentum is important because when they go into Colorado, for example, that is not a good baseball team. It will not be a loud market. Not a lot of Blue Jays fans are flying down to Denver, Colorado, even though it's an awesome place to be. You're going to have to kind of manufacture your own energy and keep that going. So that's where veterans come in. That's where guys who have been there before come in. But this is the kind of baseball they need to keep playing. There's new things to look at now. Because a few weeks ago, guys, we were talking about, man, can they make a run at the AL? Right now, it's home field. It's that first-round bye. If they can have one of those top two records in the American League, you can avoid that little 3-game series off the start where we've seen over and over with this team, things can go real wrong, real quick. And I think it's time to aim higher for them. Not acting like the team that's just happy to be here. Act like the team that's supposed to be leading the AL. Act like a team that expects to win the AL. Because when you do, that pathway to the World Series gets a lot easier, and that's all it's about right now.
Hayes was making a compelling case for John Schneider as the American League Manager of the Year.
Favorite as of now, leaving Detroit.
Favorite, so even stronger. How much credit do you think he deserves for this? It's not like it's longer than a surge. Whatever it is, how much credit does he deserve?
I completely agree with that, guys. And I vote on these awards every year. I don't have a manager vote this year, but I'm extremely cautious when, for example, if I have a Cy Young vote and Robbie Ray or Alek Manoah's up for it, I'm really cautious, and I need to make sure that my vote is where it should be. I don't have a manager vote this year, but if I did, I think Schneider's at the top of that. I think he completely deserves that credit. He would try to kind of push it off onto his coaching staff and the players, and rightfully so. It's everybody involved. But, guys, I know how voters work in this, too. And if you are in any market in Major League Baseball and you're voting on Manager of the Year, the first thing you're usually looking at is, okay, what team overachieved? What team went from bad to good or good to great? I think the Blue Jays are going to be the headliner for that. You're also seeing, guys, in my interactions day-to-day with John Schneider, I see a manager who has developed and taken a jump. We don't talk about that enough with coaches in pro sports, I don't think. It's people make up their mind, I hate the guy or I like the guy, and that's just who it is forever. I think John Schneider's loosened up. He's being himself, which is more relaxed, a guy who's letting it rip here and there, being himself as a manager. It's not always going to work. God knows it's not always going to work. But it's been working more often this year, and I think he deserves a ton of credit for that. I've not said that very often over the years, but I am around John Schneider as much as anyone. I ask him 1,000 more questions than I'm sure he'd like a year, and I've noticed a genuine difference. It's real, and I buy into it.
Yeah, credit where it's due, man. Like, there really aren't a lot of negatives around this team right now. I'm not sure Chad Green should ever pitch again for the Blue Jays. That's maybe the only one I would point to. It's not the reason. I don't think they were going to win yesterday anyway, but he came in night one of that series just to clean it up, and even that got ugly in the bottom of the ninth on Thursday night. So that's one position that I'm sure they're going to be looking to upgrade. But, yeah, listen, Schneider, it's pretty wild, like the way things are cooking right now. The way that he's got them playing, they're playing aggressively. They're sound fundamentally. They've, like, the way that he turns a roster over within a game. You know, we saw that Saturday. Get Skubal out, get a righty on the mound, boom, we'll pounce. And credit where it's due in terms of the players. You know, Lucas is obviously supplying there. Barger's supplying there. But, man, they're in a good spot, Keegan. They really are. They're playing really well.
It is. It's surprising. I actually joked with Schneider on the field yesterday. I said, man, I'm going on TV and radio, and people are asking me about you doing a good job. This is really unfamiliar for me. You know, it's been a few years of me talking about the other stuff, but it's deserved.
Yeah.
And that's when we talk about whatever magic it is. The Jays did not add more talent or find the new money ball. There's just some sort of magic, some personal thing that you can't really measure. And the best way I look at it, guys, is that just the front office is empowering the coaching staff's empowering the players. Everyone's speaking the same language. They're on the same page. They're walking at the same pace. It's just working this year. In past years, maybe there's one squeaky wheel, one thing that's not working. This is what it looks like when it all comes together. It only happens once every 10 or 20 years maybe, but this is what it looks like.
Yep, it's a heater. It's a lot of fun. I'm sure it's a lot of fun to see up close and personal, and you'll continue that tonight down in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland. Enjoy yourself, Keegan. We'll do it again soon.
You got her, fellas. Take care. We'll talk soon.
There he is, Keegan Matheson, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Drive the built-in Canada fuel-efficient, fun-to-drive Toyota RAV4. Gas or hybrid models available. Visit mapletoyota.com. Yeah, it's got to be the most positive bunch going in sports right now.
Well, so you mentioned the schedule. After those 3 series?
Yes.
L.A., Dodgers,
At the Dodgers.
Cubs, Texas, who's coming on, and then it gets lighter again. But
listen, you play who you play. You know, they just went through the Giants, the Yankees, and the Tigers, and they lost twice. So if you're bracing for impact, this is when the impact will hit. This is it. They'll drop 3 or 4 in Baltimore, and you say, I knew it. You know, like the Toronto sports fan has a lot of scars, man.
Deserved.
Very understanding why anyone would be skeptical of anything, especially considering the position we were in a few months ago with this team. And this would be it. And in a weird way, it puts even more pressure on this team. Not that they're thinking this way, but if you want to keep including people onto the bandwagon, you want to keep people on the bandwagon, you want to continue to prove you're the real deal to your own fans, the next 10 games, you got to go like 7-3. Because if you open the door to doubt, Toronto will absolutely pounce. The Toronto sports fan will pounce.
You said what the floor is, 6-4?
I think it's 6-4, yeah. I think if you're like they're the best team in the league right now. They have 63 wins. Baltimore, Kansas City, Colorado, you got to win 6 of those. And I think you should be expecting 7-3, 8-2. Right? Like, you got to be going down. You just took 3 or 4 against Detroit. Why would you not be thinking the same thing against Baltimore? Take care of business. Yes, Kirk is hurt right now. Varsho's not going to join them. We didn't get into that with Keegan, but it sounds like he's going to meet them back in Toronto on Friday when Kansas City comes to town. But you got a healthy rotation, healthy bullpen for the most part. Keep pouncing, man. The bats are red hot.
You're really low on Baltimore, aren't you, as a city?
It's not one of my favorites. No? I've driven through it. I got to admit, I don't know it overly well, and I'm skewed a little bit because The Wire, I've seen it so many times. Like, a show. It's just like The Sopranos in Jersey. Like, I got no interest in going there. None. But, like, The Wire is not a very positive kind of tourism endorsement of Baltimore.
But, that's a show. Although
it's based on reality, and I'm pretty sure West Baltimore is accurately depicted in that show.
Is that your number one?
The Wire?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Sopranos all day.
Okay.
You?
I'm a Breaking Bad guy.
Yeah. I've never seen Breaking Bad, so I can't contribute. I can't picture anything ever surpassing The Sopranos for me. The Sopranos is just, in my opinion, the perfect show. Nothing will ever capture what they capture.
Yeah.
And nothing will ever possibly catch it, in my opinion. But The Wire's very high on the list.
I don't want to offend you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think you haven't seen Breaking Bad.
I know, so I can't really contribute to it that much.
Breaking Bad hits highs that I don't think The Sopranos gets to.
Okay.
So once you see it, we can talk about it.
All right. Are you talking like cliffhanger stuff?
Yeah, and just like building like climactic events. That doesn't really happen.
The Sopranos is more, it's character based. Like it's so brilliantly written.
And it's got everything.
It's got humor in
it. It's
action.
It's drama.
It's unbelievable.
Anyway,
20 years, man. Like The Sopranos, 20 years ago, it came to an end. All right. I'll give Baltimore a chance. All right. I've already people writing in saying, just relax with Baltimore. All right. I'll give it a shot. I'll get down there. I'll see if I can get down there one day.
What's the other city
Camden
you slag off a lot is
there's a lot of them, man.
Yeah.
Jersey is a state I hit a lot.
Yeah, right.
Baltimore I hit. What else do I hit? Like Sacramento takes, but that's because they're the Kings, and there's a number of cities, states.
No one cares about what people in Buffalo think.
Yeah, Buffalo takes a little bit of heat. I don't mind Buffalo. Like Buffalo, I like the state of New York. I'm a New York guy. I'm a fan of New York. I don't mind Buffalo. That's our city. That's our American counterpart. Like,
is it?
Well, what else would be?
I think Chicago is kind of our counterpart.
But it's not a bore. You gotta
but
drive. It's like 8 hours to drive to Chicago.
Similar to Buffalo at all.
No, I'm not saying the similarity. I'm saying the connection over the border. Yes. Like that's the city. Like if you're in Toronto and you want to go to the States, you're going to go to Buffalo.
Right.
Right. All right, Jonas. We got Ryan Dinwiddie in about an hour coming up. Head coach of the Argos, and Patrick McEnroe on why the best men in the world aren't up in Toronto playing tennis. What's up with that? We'll get into a number of things with Patrick in just over half an hour. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, right, Patrick McEnroe in about a half an hour. Ryan Dinwiddie in about an hour. Jay's Baltimore tonight. I'm sure you saw the video of Trump's over in Scotland. He's playing Turnberry, a course that he owns.
I did not.
And he's in a cart. I'm pretty sure a place like that, I would think, because he's got caddies with him, generally carts would be frowned upon at a place like that.
He can't walk.
He's got the cart. Yeah, now you can get a blue flag. I don't see a blue flag, though. Like, basically, I think he's saying, it's my course. I'm just going to drive everywhere. I'm sure they frown upon being even close to a bunker, let alone within inches of the fescue. But there's his caddy dropping his golf ball, playing the old nothing to see here. And, like, Trump is famous for claiming that he wins all these club championships. And I think most people that have ever followed the game, like, there's just no way. There's no way you're shooting what you're claiming to shoot. And if you're getting the old, oop, found it, from the caddy routine, I mean, that
must happen every shot.
Well, I don't know about every shot. I mean, I'm sure he's a decent golfer, but anything that goes borderline out of bounds, he's getting a preferred lie that miraculously gets back in play, which helps a fair amount when you're trying to score, right? It helps a little bit when the Trumpsters out there saying, you guys go ahead and just drop a golf ball, even though I snap hooked that thing halfway into the ocean.
Do you plan to watch the new Happy Gilmore movie?
So on Friday, it was a big night in my house. My youngest had her first sleepover across the street at a friend's place, which was really, really significant. Because it was so close, she kept coming back over to the house to say goodnight. And we're like, this isn't going to happen. But like the third time.
That's sweet, though.
Yeah. She's like, I just came back to say hi. I miss you guys. I'm like, do you want to actually? You can just stay home. I'm not sure you're going to get through the night. No, I'm going to go back. They go back 20 minutes later. Her and her friend would come back. And my wife and I were like, there's no way she's staying over there. So anyway, she ended up sleeping. It was a great night. Unbelievable. The reason I referenced that is because my oldest daughter was still with us, and she wanted to watch Happy Gilmore.
The original or the new one?
I told her, I'm like, if you're going to watch the second one, you've got to watch the original.
You should just, yeah.
So that's what we did.
Watch the original.
Watch the original.
Good.
Which was great. Classic. She's a hockey player. She loved it. She's getting into golf. She found it to be spectacular. She's a huge fan of Happy Gilmore. Didn't have time to watch the second one. I think the humor is a little bit much for my youngest, so we got to wait till she either goes to sleep or has another sleepover or isn't interested for us to watch the second one, because now I'm pot committed with my daughter to watch the second one. So long-winded answer, no, I haven't seen it. I have seen mixed reviews, and that's probably putting it lightly.
I watched it last night.
Yeah.
The first half is fine. And then the second half is just like 5 million cameos.
Like pointlessly.
You can't watch it with her because she's going to be like, what is this? Who
It
are
makes
all these
no
people?
sense,
Makes
any of it.
no sense.
Yeah.
So
someone described it to me as it was basically like 100 different TikTok videos spliced together. Like there was no point in any of them other than if you cut it up and put it on TikTok for 90 seconds, that'd be a funny little clip.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of the way it was
sort of.
scripted and performed.
And they had like callbacks to the original, which is always weird in a movie when like you're seeing clips from another movie. It's like,
right.
Anyway.
That didn't have nearly as many cameos.
Yeah, I would watch it just because.
I'm going to watch it. And I'm a Sandler guy. I like Sandler, and I love Happy Gilmore, the original. Love it. I'll check it out.
Reminds you it's tough to get a sequel.
Can't get a sequel going 30 years later when the guy's older and way richer and way lazier.
Yeah.
You know, like he was hungry back then.
And that's like all his movies now are just basically him with his friends.
Yeah.
Whereas all the early ones, like you watch Billy Madison now, it holds up.
Unreal.
Because it's just a good movie.
Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, outstanding movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outstanding movies. He was great in Airheads.
In what? Oh, I don't think I ever saw
Airheads
that.
Great movie. Steve Buscemi and Brendan Fraser.
Steve Buscemi's in this.
Great movie. So no, yes, I will check it out, but I haven't seen it yet. My understanding is, again, it's not going to be that great.
No.
I'm going in bracing for that. I'm going in fully understanding that it's not going to be winning an Oscar, right? You see Luka Doncic on the cover of Men's Health magazine?
I did. He looks great. I want to see the MVP.
Do you think that's photoshopped at all?
I didn't think that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's almost like a perfect picture. Like his arms are completely shredded. He's like, because
he's probably lost a lot of weight.
I'm sure he has.
I think there's international basketball.
I'm not shaming him. I'm just saying it looks a little bit, he's like too in shape. on this picture. You know, because that's what like photographers do. That's what they do all the time. Like they'll give you a tan and they'll touch it up.
Think
And
they
we
could
need
get
to give you a little.
us to look like that?
Yeah, well, because you can't go on Men's Health magazine and look like a slob, right? You have to be cut.
How would that work if they go to do the article and the guy's just not in great shape? Do they cancel the article?
I don't know. I mean, there may just be a prerequisite. Like if I'm going to be a part of it, because they're obviously banking on him selling a lot of magazines for them. He may say, I'm sure he's working out and he's in shape and all that. It's kind of fascinating that he's been in the league as long as he has been. Was he 7 years in the league now? And now he's just getting in this impeccable shape.
But that tells you how amazing he is. That he took a team to the finals 2 years ago, not in shape, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
And then they traded him because he wasn't in shape. It didn't make any sense.
Well, it does say that he is spurned and heartbroken and he's going to shove it towards Dallas. But I am wondering, and I am curious to see like how this affects his game. You know, like is it 100% guaranteed he's going to be better? Exactly. He's a guy that puts his head down a little bit and gets in the lane. Is he still capable of doing that if he lost 30 pounds?
I still think so. He's still 6'8", and he's probably how much do you think he weighs? Is he 240 now?
220, 230?
Yeah, he's still a monster.
Yeah.
I want to see what he's.
I am very curious to see what he's got.
He's never won the MVP. He's been the favorite, I think, the last 2 years to start the year, and never been there.
This feels like a year where it just screams that for him, right? Based on the narrative. Now, it'll be curious to see if he can win it with LeBron as a teammate, because no one has been in contention for an MVP when they've played with LeBron.
Well, LeBron's always been the best player.
Exactly. Like, it's almost like an automatic. You just simply can't win it. Maybe you can win a finals MVP. Like, did LeBron win in the bubble or did AD win in the bubble?
I think you're right.
It may have been AD because he was a monster in that bubble. I don't remember. It might have been LeBron. It was one of the two guys. But a regular season MVP playing with LeBron is like an oxymoron. You can't do it.
Is LeBron going to be on the team?
Yeah, I think so.
For sure?
Unless it was LeBron. Okay, so LeBron even won that one in the bubble. I don't think LeBron's kind of out of spite going to stick around with the Lakers. I don't know if he's going anywhere. He's picked up his option. They're, by all accounts, not talking extension with him. I'm not sure they want him around. But if he's going anywhere, obviously he's going to orchestrate it. He's not going to any team. He's not going to just say, trade me wherever you want to trade me. He's going to have full control over that. With this new CBA, there's only so many options. Golden State, Dallas.
Yeah, it makes too much money.
Hey, it makes a lot of money. A lot of these teams don't have the flexibility. And why would you get rid of like quality pieces for a guy who's 41 years old?
How would you feel though this morning or whenever this came out if you're the Mavs seeing this? Are you just like now?
I don't know. Maybe you proved your point. Thank you. This is what we're talking about. You wouldn't have done this if we just continued to coddle you and give you $350 million. You would have just kept. And this will be the question with Luka. Like, okay, you're in the summer. You've been spurned. Are you going to stick to this? Are you going to get back to L.A. and all of a sudden, there's some restaurants calling your name and some drinks calling your name? Because that, by all accounts, that's his rep. Like just a guy that likes to have a good time and kind of relaxed and a relaxed diet. And you got to be a freak like consistently if you're going to get chiseled like that and stick.
But wouldn't you always say if you were him, like, was I doing something wrong before? Like, maybe I wasn't in the best shape, but I was like the best or second or third best player in the league. Like, what do you want me about?
Listen, defensively, he's pretty terrible. Like, and that's another thing I wonder with this. Like, if you get in better shape, does that boost his ability to defend it better?
Sure.
Yeah, because by all accounts, he put a lot of time and effort into the offensive side of things. Defensively, he was pretty lazy. Not the best footwork. He'd get beat off the ball. His perimeter defense wasn't great. That's where this is really going to benefit him. But that's not going to show up in the stat line. That's just going to show up in terms of wins and losses and being a better teammate and a more coachable player.
Well, I wonder what it was like for him getting to L.A. and just seeing LeBron, who is just like insane about his body and just has all these crazy routines and spends all this money. And
should benefit him.
Of that?
Should benefit him. Like, you couldn't think of a better role model than LeBron in terms of taking care of yourself and consistently performing for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a passion or even an obsession with your own legacy, nobody has shown that more than LeBron. Like, LeBron is uber focused on his legacy. Too much. where he's picking fights with people and his agents, fighting on his behalf all the time. He is so obsessed with how he looks, how he plays, how he performs, his resume, comparing himself to Jordan, all that kind of stuff. And there's a downside to it, but there's also a real upside to it.
That he's 41 or whatever.
And he's still going. And if you're Luka, you better tap into that, man, because you probably got one more season of it. Then he's going to be gone. And then it's your team. But, yeah, Luka, front page, Men's Health, looking good.
I'm going to pick it up.
You're going to pick that up? You want to read what's going on with Luka? When's he going to sign that extension?
I think he can sign it August 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, it's coming up soon.
And presumably he's going to sign it.
Okay.
Yeah. Should be
all right.
interesting
Who signs first, Luka or McDavid?
Luka. I think.
Yeah, if it's already done and in the bag and it's a timeline thing, then more than likely. But we're almost in August. McDavid hasn't done anything yet.
When would your alarm go off?
Once the season starts.
Okay, so not training camp.
I don't think training camp. I think ideally, if you're going to get it done, get it done before that. But
I think training camp. Because it's why would...
Unless he diffuses it immediately, though. Like, if he shows up and goes, we're real close, I'm not going to talk about it, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you're right. If it's training camp and he goes, guys, I'm not talking about this and don't ask me.
I know how it goes.
Panic.
Like, if I was showing up for the first day of their training camp and he wasn't signed, that would be the biggest story. I mean, it's a big story like last year with Marner.
Absolutely.
And remember, he started his press conference and said, I'm not going to talk about the contract.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool.
And look how that played out.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Worked out pretty well for Vegas, I guess. But, yeah, you're right. It's a big story.
I've been meaning to ask you this. Do you think there will be a day in the next 365 days where you don't mention Marner on the show?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I feel like every single day he'll come up at some point.
Yeah. It's a good prop. It is a good prop. I might have to class A this and possibly, tomorrow, just not mention his name. Even if, on purpose. I don't care if anybody else brings it up.
I'll bring it up.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. If it can be manipulated by the co-host, then all bets are off. But if you're talking me personally, I can get through a day or two. And then listen, if the Jays end up going to the playoffs and going on a run, we're not talking about Mitch Marner. The Jays are playing Game 7 of the ALCS that night.
Yeah, but that week you will be, and his first game.
Week by week, I can't guarantee it. Day by day, I can't.
Every single week you'll talk about it.
They'll probably come up in some capacity. I'm going to be tracking what he's doing.
If I could go to FanDuel and bet this, I would bet this.
And it would be heavy minus money. You'd have to pay a lot of juice on that.
Huge.
Because I want to see what he's got. I'm really curious to see how he shows up in Vegas, what he looks like in training camp, how he performs, who he plays with. I don't think he's going to be different. Like Kadri moved on, Hyman moved on, and eventually Mitch will move on. Where I'm not going to be tracking him every single day, But he's a star. He's a big name. The way he went out, how much we talked about him for a decade. He's different than those other guys.
And it's going to be talked
and he
about,
left in a different fashion.
It's going to be talked about here in relation to him, right? Like all training camp.
Well, that's true,
going
too.
To come up.
Who's playing with Matthews? How's he looking?
Right.
What are you doing on the power play? PK, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. All right, Patrick McEnroe in 15 minutes. Ryan Dinwiddie still to come. Our best bets as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Sale GP lives here.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Watermelon sugar high. Watermelon sugar high.
All right, Patrick McEnroe, Ryan Dinwiddie coming up. We've got a new bracket for you this week as well. TSN Radio and most beloved athletes in the last 25 years. Now, this is a tough list for the crew to put together because there's been a lot of them over the years. Like, because it's not just superstars, right? You get depth players, you get on every team. There's a variety of homegrown players, big trades where big personalities, tough guys, blue collar players. A lot of options here. Right up your alley,
When
Jonas.
you were talking about it, my mind for some reason went to Charles Oakley.
Yeah, but he was here in the 90s, so I don't think he would apply here.
Oh, yeah, he was late 90s?
Late 90s. He was like 98, 99. But there's a great example. Like Oakley was beloved here. JYD.
Remember Jorge Garbajosa?
Garbajosa 1 year and broke his leg. Remember how bad that was?
Yeah.
It was like a kind of a track down play. Was it in Boston, I think it was? He's tracking a guy down, went up, and then that was vicious because he was great, man. Garbajosa was great. All right, so there's the bracket. I wasn't going to get into it now, but all right. We'll get into it into the next hour. Kyle Lowry, Thomas Caberlet is a 16 seed. A lot of different options there. We'll get more into it into the next hour. But who's the most beloved athlete in the city right now? It's got to be a Blue Jay. Like today, it's got to be George Springer, Bo Bichette.
I like the
Vladdy.
Like if you think of it like approval rating, who has the highest approval rating right now?
Mm-hmm. Addison Barger.
Yeah, it's probably Springer.
Yeah, it's a Blue Jay for sure today. Like for sure. Now, if you include the Leafs and Raptors, RJ Barrett, because he's a local guy, Scotty, to an extent, the Leafs. I mean, I think Matthews still counts just based on the scope.
Yeah.
Like, I know what happened in the playoffs and all that, but he still lost to Matthews. Like, people love him.
Sure. Nylander.
Yeah, absolutely.
Points, sure.
Absolutely. All right, more on that into the next hour. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Sale.
Is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
I had some help. It ain't like I can make this kind of mess all by myself. Don't act like you ain't helped me pull that bottle off the shelf. Be deep in every weekend. If you couldn't tell, they say teamwork makes a dream work. Hell, I had some help.
Final hour OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, Jonas Siegel of The Athletic. Jay's in Baltimore tonight after taking 3 of 4 in Detroit. They got a 5.5 game lead on the Yankees, and Aaron Judge is now on the IL. 6.5 game lead on the Boston Red Sox. Best team in the American League. Best record in baseball right now. Pretty crazy we're saying that. It's the end of July. But it's a reality. Like you said earlier, it's not a blip on the radar anymore. This isn't a 10-game stretch.
Too long.
Yeah, like they had their 10-game winning streak. That was weeks ago. Then they hit the break, and, okay, you're reset. How are you going to come out of it? Sweep the Giants, take 2 of 3 against the Yankees, 3 of 4 against the Tigers. Driver's seat.
But as you keep pointing out, we're not even in August yet.
Mm-hmm. A lot of baseball.
All of August.
A lot of baseball. I got you, Jonas.
A long year.
56 games still left to be played. That is more than a third of the season.
I thought it was fascinating when Keegan said that Alejandro Kirk is their MVP, and I was like, yeah, I guess he kind of is. Maybe Springer, but it's like...
Yeah, and I think Bichette's making a claim for it now. But I would say it's either Springer or Kirk. I think
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is, considering the years they had last year.
Well, and considering like who else is on the team.
Yeah, you're talking about Vladdy and Bichette and Gausman and Scherzer and Hoffman.
Barrios.
Yeah, Barrios, all these guys.
Like, imagine I told you that. Imagine, like, we go back to the start of the season. I say, Hayes, here's what's going to happen. It's going to be July 28th. Jays will be the best team in baseball, best record, and their MVP is either going to be Springer or Kirk. And you'd be like...
Yeah, it would seem
really
very difficult to believe. And then on top of it, you'd be having conversations about Addison Barger and Ernie Clement
and John Schneider
and Eric Lauer. John Schneider's the favorite to win the American League Manager of the Year.
Yeah, that tracks. What?
Yeah, I know. It's been a crazy, crazy ride. But now the pressure's on the GM this week because this is the only time you can really, add to this group. Trade deadline's on Thursday. You got 3 days now to figure it out. It sounds like Danny Jansen is being traded from Tampa to Milwaukee. We had the conversation about trying to acquire a catcher with Kirk out now. Hopefully not long term. And Keegan mentioned last hour he is in Baltimore. He's around the team and he's taking part in some baseball activities. That would lead you to believe he should be okay. Knock on wood. But if it's a concussion or concussion-like symptoms, man, those are terrifying injuries.
I've never understood what the difference between concussion-like symptoms and a concussion is.
I don't really know either. But they love throwing that out.
Like, what's it?
Not a concussion.
You have symptoms of a concussion.
Symptoms that are similar. Very similar. Could be whiplash, I guess. Could be anything. I don't know. But, yeah, it's been an incredible run. It was just a great weekend. And now you set up with 4 against Baltimore, 3 against Kansas City, 3 against Colorado before you go to the Dodgers, you play the Cubs. So you got some real series coming up. But as of right now, the Jays are in a really good spot. And, we've got our bracket here for the most beloved athletes of the last 25 years. And there aren't a lot of, like, modern players that generally come up on this list. Like, there isn't a Raptor that would be in contention for this right now.
Not now, but I'm trying to think. What was his name? He came off the bench. Remember they had the bench mob? Who was in the bench mob?
Well, Van Vliet was a part of that. Norman Powell was a part of that.
Anyway.
I don't think Siakam might have been originally.
You're right, he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was someone else in there. But that's not who I'm thinking of.
Okay.
I'll find the person.
All right. We'll find them. But we'll break down the bracket a little bit later on, but then get into some current players that might have a chance to break it by the end of this season or into the future. The National Bank Open has now officially arrived in Toronto and in Montreal. It was kind of crazy, heartbreaking to see Bianca Andreescu get hurt on match point last night, but she gutted it out. Ended up actually winning that match, but now we got to find out what's going to go on with her the rest of that tournament. Vasek Pospisil retiring, losing yesterday. That's it after a great, great career as a great Canadian tennis pro. But, on the men's side here in Toronto, it's such a highly anticipated tournament. And Sinner's not here. Alcaraz isn't here. Djokovic not here. It's tough, man. It's tough. Like, what happened here? Where are all the guys? Chat about it. We're joined now by ESPN tennis analyst. You know him well. He's been on the show before. We love having him on. Here's Patrick McEnroe. How you doing, Patrick?
What's happening, guys? Appreciate you guys having me. I mean, no Sinner, no Alcaraz, no Djokovic, no Patrick McEnroe.
Right
up there. I mean,
right.
What's worse? I mean, no. You know what? It's in all seriousness. I mean, we covered it at ESPN for so many years, both events. So I loved going up there. I loved the vibe in both Toronto and in Montreal. The men and women switching every year. But I am disappointed. I'm not disappointed so much about Djokovic because I think with him you can understand that he's 38. I think he's actually going through his own head. How much longer he actually wants to play. But, Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, when those guys were young and coming into their prime, they didn't miss these tournaments. I mean, maybe once, a fluky kind of thing. But, if you're Sinner, Alcaraz, I mean, I get it. You just played, an epic final in Paris. You played another real good final at Wimbledon. But part of your responsibility to the tour, and especially when you're the two top guys in the world, is to play these huge events. They don't have to play all the 500s and the 250s, but these Masters events, these 1000s, were really built so that the top players would all play them. And for the most part, they do. So I'm disappointed that both of them didn't show up. Again, I understand why, but this rarely happened in the era of the big three, which we just got out of. Now we're in, quickly have vaulted ourselves into this era of the big two. And the question is, before us, not only how much are they going to dominate between the two of them, but who else, if anyone, can step up and threaten them consistently in these big tournaments.
Well, there's this ring culture happening in, North American sports that I know you're aware of, Patrick, with, chasing rings in the NBA and the NFL and the NHL and Major League Baseball, et cetera. And I guess in tennis, it'd be chasing slams. And you mentioned the big three. And when we look back on their career, we talk about the slams. We don't necessarily talk about what they do in Toronto or in Cincinnati or wherever else it is. Do you think that might be applied here with the likes of Sinner and Alcaraz, that they're looking at this saying, we're going to play and be dominant for another 10, 12 years, and the only thing that matters is the slams? Do you think that could be a part of their mentality here?
I think that is definitely part of their mentality, but I also think that it's the wrong mentality to have when you're 22 and 23, which both these guys are. You have a responsibility to play these other events. Look, when I go down the list, guys, of all-timers, and I compare them, yes, of course the majors are at the top, but winning these other events is also up there, winning Masters events, winning the ATP finals, finishing number one in the world. These guys have such a huge gap in where the two of them are and the rest of the guys in the rankings that they can sort of afford to miss some of these big tournaments because every tournament they play, they essentially know they're going to get to the final or win it. So the differential between the points is much more extreme. Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, I mean, I remember Sampras playing at the end of the year one year to solidify his number one ranking for the end of the year. This was post-U.S. Open. When most casual tennis fans or casual sports fans, they think after the U.S. Open, tennis is over. Well, there's 3 more months left in the season. And Sampras, I remember, played like 6-7 weeks in a row, exhausted at the end of the year into October, November, to solidify getting that number one ranking. I believe it was the 6th year in a row that he did it. So I think this is a blip. I think it has nothing to do with what goes on in Canada. I mean, they run an unbelievable event. I just think it was just part of both those guys expending so much physical and mental energy, both in Paris and then again in Wimbledon, that they decided to take a break. But I also think if there was a guy who was 3 or 4 that was breathing down their neck from a ranking standpoint, they might think twice about missing an event like Toronto where they could pick up another 1,000 points to win it.
Patrick, you mentioned the end maybe coming close at some point for Novak Djokovic. Have you started thinking about like his career and scope yet? Like in terms of like where he ranks for you? Like, is he just number one? Like, have you started to have those thoughts about like his career, like the whole thing as it's maybe wrapping up?
I've been thinking about that for the last 5 years. So, and I'm going to continue to do that. And to me, it's not even a question. He's the greatest of all time. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There are other people and players that were more, you love to watch Federer, his shot making, his balletic brilliance on the court, his offensive capabilities, Nadal with his physicality, what he brought to the table is from just, being this absolute intense competitor with the heavy topspin off the forehand. But if you break it down, you break down the wins and losses, the majors, number one, 24 to 22 to 20, the Masters events like the Montreal, Cincinnati's of the world, the events you won there. And to me, here's the biggest thing about Djokovic, guys, is that he was able to do it in any condition. Federer on clay, he was great, but he could never beat Nadal on clay. Nadal did win 2 Wimbledons, which to me was one of maybe the most remarkable things of his career. Of course, he won 14 French Open, so that's saying something. But he wasn't a great grass court player. He did reach a couple other finals, but he lost, early many times at Wimbledon over the course of his career. Djokovic never lost early anywhere in his career, in any tournament, on any surface, no matter what the conditions. So if you look at that and you look at it from the perspective of one-on-one against those 2 main rivals, him winning, he's won his worst major as far as numbers goes is Paris. He's only won it 3 times. He's got 10 Australians, U.S. Open, 7 Wimbledons as well. So his scope on all the services and all the conditions, not to mention the fact, I believe he's won 7 ATP finals, which is a year-end championship, which Federer, I think, also won 7 or 8. So those guys dominated that tournament, especially in their prime. That's why, to me, Novak Djokovic, from a technical standpoint, his game technically, mentally, emotionally, his ability to play under pressure, you put the whole thing together, and there's other players you might have liked to watch more, and the fan bases for Fed and Rafa are bigger, arguably, than Djokovic. But Djokovic, just his body of work, you can't compare anyone else to it.
Of Sinner and Alcaraz, which one has a better chance of chasing down Djokovic?
That's an amazing question of which I can't answer right now other than to say I'm going to sit back and enjoy it over the next 10 years. One of the things that's amazing about the 2 of them right now is that they both can play unbelievable tennis on every surface. Sinner's picked up his game this year to get to the final in Paris. He'd never been to a final in Paris on the clay and have the 3 match points and blow it, lose it in 5. He'd never been to a Wimbledon final. He comes off that just heartbreaking, epic loss in the final of Paris, and then he absolutely dominates Alcaraz in the final. Alcaraz has won 2 Wimbledons already. He's won the French Open a couple of times already, and he's won on hard court in New York at the U.S. Open. So right now, I'd give Sinner the slight edge because he's definitely better on hard court. He's a little bit his mediocre level, if you're calling, it's never mediocre, is a higher level than Alcaraz's highs can be higher. But Sinner's just a slightly more consistent at the moment, although I think they're both catching each other in those departments where Alcaraz is becoming a little more predictable, a little more consistent, and Sinner is also, he's become a great shot maker. He came to net more times in the Wimbledon final against Alcaraz than Alcaraz did, which I never would have predicted coming in. So if I had to, if you put the gun to my head and said you got to make a call right now, I'd probably lean Sinner just based on his consistency. But, it's going to come down to so many X factors: health, motivation, desire to keep doing it, the way the big 3 did it. They had each other to push, and they kept pushing each other to say, hey, wait, if he can do it at 32, 33, why can't I? Djokovic won most of his majors after 30, which is just unheard of. These guys have already won 5 and 4 between the 2 of them. They have 9 each, 9 total. So there's no reason they can't continue to rack them up and get to double digits pretty quickly.
Is there anyone out there that you can see competing with them and maybe forming a new big 3, or do you just think it's just those 2 far and away?
I'd say at the moment, if there's the gap, the gap is huge. It's a Niagara, it's a Grand Canyon type of gap right now. But you look at guys like a couple American guys, Taylor Fritz, who's knocking on the door, and has been deep in the last couple majors. Ben Shelton, I think, has the potential. Jack Draper, who I thought could do some more at Wimbledon this year after having a great first half of the year. Zverev is still there. He's the top seed up there in Canada. He's consistently right there at 3 in the world. But you know what I think it's going to be? I think it's going to be someone that we don't know. Maybe it's João Fonseca, the 18-year-old from Brazil. I like his firepower. I like his moxie. But it's probably going to be someone that we don't even – that's a 15 or 16-year-old at the moment. And the beautiful thing about what Sinner and Alcaraz are doing is they've already changed the game in a sense of, people are playing more drop shots. People are coming up with shots on the run where they said that used to be a defensive shot. These guys are trying to play offense. So we run in a tennis academy here in New York City, me and my brother. And, the kids are already starting – they can't do it, most of them. But they're already starting to think, wait, I could try it. Let me try that shot. Let me try. Sinner takes every ball off the bounce, essentially, early, and hits it Mach 10. Now, there's very few people that can do that, but the younger generation is going to start to try to do it now, the 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds right now. So it may be someone that comes out of that group in another 4 or 5 years, because if I'm being 100% honest, which I always be with you guys.
Yes.
I don't see anybody right now that can consistently threaten them in the majors in best of 5.
With Patrick McEnroe, then you get to the women's side, and there's obviously dominant forces, and there was a run there by Serena in particular, but there seems to be much more turnover on the women's side, and particularly you look at some of the Canadians, like Leylah Fernandez just won down in D.C., and we all remember her kind of miraculous run in 2021. Down at the U.S. Open, where actually Raducanu ended up winning that, but she is somewhat, fallen off. I think they both met in the semis in D.C., actually.
Yes, that's correct.
And you had Bianca Andreescu in 19 win, and now Bianca has never been able to find health. But I guess, looking at Leylah in particular, like it was such a magical run, U.S. Open. The crowd loved her. She played to the crowd brilliantly. But she admitted, when she got to Montreal, like it was incredible to just win in D.C., but prior to this, her season has not gone well. She hasn't been really happy with her form. Right. But when you look at the women's side, Leylah in particular, do you think she still has a chance at making more noise? And maybe once she gets back to the U.S. Open and how comfortable she seemingly is on the hard court in New York with that crowd, could there be something brewing here for her?
It depends on your definition of brewing.
Okay.
My definition of brewing would be, can she be a factor and get to the second week? Yes. If your definition of brewing is, can she go win the U.S. Open, I'm going to say I ain't buying that brew.
No.
I think it was a fluke what happened. I don't say that in a bad way, because I think she's an excellent player, and I love her attitude. I love her stuff. Just the same with Raducanu. I think that was a fluky final. I mean, let's just be honest about it. So do I think that either one of them will win another major, or get to the finals of another major? I think it's a long shot. I wouldn't bet on that at all. For some reason in the women's game, much more so than the men's game. And it's not just Andreescu and Raducanu and Fernandez. I mean, it's a lot of players. Ostapenko won a major, and she's never been, she's a good player, but she's not a threat to, win majors. So there is a lot more turnover. The difference between being the number 5 or 6 woman player in the world and then all of a sudden being 70 6 months later somehow happens way more often in the women's game for a variety of reasons. So you're starting to see now the elites start to, there's a new group, right, of 3. There's Sabalenka, who's been rock solid all year, still hasn't won a major this year, but, is right there, and she's won 3 majors overall in her career. So she's there at the end of every tournament. Coco Gauff wins her second major in Paris, then loses first round at Wimbledon. Swiatek, unbelievable performance by her to win Wimbledon after, for her, went away basically. She wasn't even in the finals of a tournament for over a year. But those 3, I think, have sort of distanced themselves. But the women's game definitely, you can get a flyer of someone that could get hot still in a big tournament. It's best 2 out of 3. There's a little different dynamic there, so it's not best of 5. The longer you play, the more in likelihood the better player is going to win, right, over time. So that's why best of 5 is a little bit more predictable. Women's tennis, they play 2 out of 3 every tournament. So I think that's why you see more upsets. And I also think that you just see the fact that the women essentially are a little more even. Sinner and Alcaraz have taken the game to such a different level. I mean, I'm watching Taylor Fritz last week during the D.C. tournament you're talking about. I'm like, man, this guy is so good. I'm so impressed with how, I've known him since he was 13, 14 years old. And this guy has worked his butt off to get to where he is. And he's maximized everything he's got. And I'm like, man, how good is this guy? And then I think to myself, wait a second. Can he actually beat Sinner and Alcaraz in best of 5? I mean, I think he could. I mean, he almost got to a fifth set against Alcaraz at Wimbledon. He got smoked by Sinner in the U.S. Open final last year. But, can he beat them if they're playing their A game? No, he can't.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how quickly it's happened. Like the one era into the next era, and now we got these two guys, and it's a bummer they're not up here, but hopefully they'll be in Montreal next year. He is the great Patrick McEnroe. We always love catching up with you, Patrick. Thank you for doing this.
Anytime, guys. Enjoy the tournament. I mean, there's still going to be some unbelievable matches. You got Zverev, you got Shelton. He's played well. I thought you guys were going to ask me about him because he's working his way back as Dennis. And I'm happy to see him playing back, well again, back in the low 20s. And I think he can get back to top 15, top 10 in the world. And I'm happy to see that because to me, he's a great shot maker and a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. We're jacked to have him. Absolutely. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it.
All my best. Take care, guys.
There he goes, Patrick McEnroe of ESPN. And, yeah, Denis Shapovalov, like O.J. Aliassime, like we've had it like that. That was kind of felt like it was coming, right? This, like, new wave of Canadian men that were going to kind of jockey back and forth with the women because we had Bianca in 19. We had Fernandez in 21. And it's never really, really materialized, for either guy in terms of, like, competing. But also on the men's side, at some point, you're going to run into either Sinner or Alcaraz or Djokovic still. Yeah. And if you run into those guys, you're just not going to beat them. Like, it's kind of sucks. Like, it's amazing once you get to the final. Like, the Wimbledon final was good. The French Open final was phenomenal. All world. And Alcaraz wins that. Sinner comes back and wins Wimbledon. Now you just want to fast forward to the finals of the U.S. Open. Just get to these two guys. And let's see what they got.
But you're right. It's nice that we've kind of gone from one thing to the next with no gap. Like, I remember, like, when Agassi and Sampras and some of those guys retired, there was, like, this weird gap. And I remember, like, Andy Roddick was, like, the number one player in the world.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's right.
This is okay. Is he... And then it was like, and then
Federer arrived.
I remember, I think Federer had that match against Sampras. I think when he had like the ponytail, if I remember right. And it was like, who's this guy? Yeah. And then suddenly he was just winning every tournament. And then suddenly
Nadal showed up.
Right.
And then Djokovic showed up. The amazing thing is Djokovic has seen both sides of it. Like, he's still competing with Sinner and Alcaraz, and it's probably too far gone. I think he admitted that at Wimbledon, I believe. He just said, hey, I'm trying. I'm just... Basically, I'm too old. I can't do it anymore. Like, these guys are too young. They're too good. They're too fast. That's what's scary, man. It's like he was emphatic. Like, Djokovic, in his opinion, undoubtedly the greatest player ever.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is pretty amazing.
Well, when you think about it, the way he put it, he doesn't really have like a weak surface.
Which is pretty incredible.
And he kind of had the upper hand on both guys. Like, the only thing is he didn't catch Federer, like, right in the peak, I guess. Like, he kind of caught the end of the peak. Is that fair?
Yeah, or you could argue he ended the peak for Federer.
Fair.
Especially at Wimbledon.
Fair.
Because, like, Federer was Mr. Wimbledon, and then Djokovic showed up and said, actually, I'll take that.
Yeah.
And didn't he run off like 6 or 7 in a row or something like that? Like, I think he's got them. I think he passed Federer for the most ever.
Who was your favorite of the three? Because I kind of, in my mind, I could make a case
I had a
all
favorite.
of them.
Yeah, I might lean Federer because he was first. So then by the end, it felt like he was the underdog. If that makes sense.
Sure.
Like as he got older, it was like, well, how are you going to keep up? Especially when he played Djokovic, it was you knew he was in for one.
Yeah, because physically, Djokovic was just. But
none of them, like it's funny with tennis. Like they're all Europeans. Like I don't have any connection to any of them. Never seen any of them play live.
You didn't see it? I saw. Actually, I think I saw all of them in Toronto.
Yeah, that's something I regret. There was a match a couple years ago, a night, and I remember this because my father-in-law was there. We had gotten him tickets for his birthday or Father's Day or something, where the first match, like the nightcap was Alcaraz. I can't remember who he was playing, but he was number 2. Like by then he had arrived. A couple of years ago, you're like, watch it. This kid's coming. Like he's 20, 21. He had already won a major, I believe, at that point. He might have won the tournament that year. I think he might have won Toronto 2 years ago. And Alcaraz was playing someone in the night match, like the primetime match or maybe it was the 7 o'clock and then like the 9:30 or whatever it was scheduled as was Sinner versus Andy Murray.
Ooh.
And Sinner was like rated 5th or 6th. Like he hadn't arrived yet. And Murray got an injury and pulled the chute. So they had tickets to Alcaraz, Sinner back to back.
That's cool.
Which they never got to see it because Murray pulled the shoot and he came out and was crying and so disappointed. Sorry to everybody. It was like he was trying to make his comeback or one of his comebacks or whatever. But what a night that would have been to say you saw Sinner and Alcaraz in the same night.
Yeah, it's like seeing
early in their
bands,
careers,
like before they really make.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like Zeppelin and AC/DC playing, as a tune-up for the Beatles or so, whatever.
And you saw them at the Horseshoe Tavern.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's disappointing that the two of them aren't here. And Djokovic. Djokovic is totally understandable. He's done it. He's been here. He's done that. You're never going to see him play these tournaments. He doesn't care about them anymore. Sinner and Alcaraz should be here. Like Wimbledon was weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, but still, like it's a Masters series. They made it for 1,000 points or whatever. It's available to you. Come over and play. Both of them pulled the shoot. Both of them couldn't make it. Like really disappointing. All right, Ryan Dinwiddie coming up, and our best bet still to come as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, Ryan Dinwiddie coming up in a moment. Huge win for the Argos over the weekend. So, up on Twitter, Instagram, asking for help here in terms of polling the Toronto sports fan on the most beloved Toronto athlete of the last 25 years. So let me run through this quickly. Kyle Lowry or Thomas Caberlet? Lowry. Gary Roberts or Jose Calderon?
Roberts.
That's a really good one, though. Jose was great.
Good one.
Jose was great. He loved hitting threes and letting everyone know that, yes, we know you hit threes. Thank you, Jose.
Great free throw shooter.
Yeah, I'm going Gary Roberts. Jose Bautista or Ty Domi? I think that might be Ty, man. Ty was huge.
He was.
Like, Ty was, and it was a different era, a different game. I get Bautista was beloved, but Bautista was frosty. Now, Ty was too. Like, Ty wasn't exactly, like, connected with all the fans in terms of the way he handled everything, but I'm going to go with Domi on that.
Okay.
I'm going Domi. Fred VanVleet or Kevin Pillar? That's a great one.
I think Fred.
I'm going Fred. Roy Halladay or JYD, Jerome Williams? Halladay. Matt Sundin or DeMar DeRozan? Sundin left in a weird way. I know, he left in a weird way.
Like
but
the all-time leader.
I'm going Mats. Darcy Tucker or John McDonald? I love John McDonald. John McDonald couldn't hit anything. Yes, he was a great defensive player, good guy, really good interview.
Fans loved him.
But Tucker by a million miles.
Tucker honestly might be.
Tucker might have to be the favorite on this. He might cruise to the finals. I wouldn't be. Like, in terms of the most beloved Leafs of the last 25 years, he's one of the top three, I think, for sure.
Might be.
He could be. He could be number one.
Like, obviously, I'm at all the games, and they bring back players all the time.
When he comes out, it's huge.
It's like, it might be the loudest.
Yeah.
It's him or Clark.
Yes, and Wendell did technically play in the year 2000, I believe was his final year with
Tampa?
the Leafs.
Or no?
No, he came back, remember, for that one playoff run. He was a part of that final Leaf team, that first year with Pat Quinn. And then Edwin Encarnacion or Nazem Kadri.
That's a hard one.
I'm going Nas on that. I'm going the Leafs.
Edwin.
I'm going Nas.
The little bird thing.
Yeah, and he hit that big walk-off home run in 2016, the wild card game against Baltimore. That was pretty significant. People love Kadri, though, man. Bring him back. Get Kadri back.
They need him.
Trade the farm. Get him back.
I don't know if they have
They may not have a farm, but trade whatever you got. A shed. Trade the shed. Try to bring in Nazem. All right, what a win for the Argos this weekend. Man, they needed that. And big news, Chad Kelly, he's going to remain on the IR. He's not playing anytime soon. Nick Arbuckle had to have a game. He had one. And the head coach of the Argos last week said in order for them to get back into this, they got to create chaos. I'm assuming he felt like that was chaotic. A chaotic win the other night. Here he is, the head coach of the Argos, Ryan Dinwiddie. Is that accurate? Was that a chaotic win the other night?
Well, I think a little bit. Defensively, I thought they rose to the occasion to doing that. We knew we had to be disruptive and, do some different things defensively. So I felt like the guys battled back after a tough loss. It's not always easy to do. Yeah,
so in terms of that chaos that you're looking for, you said last week you need to be chaotic. Is that simply a defensive mentality? Like, flush this out for us. What does chaos look like for you guys the rest of the way?
Well, I think just, we start the game off with a double pass last week. Just being a little bit more aggressive, finding ways to, maybe steal a touchdown each week. Good teams always, we had that in the years past, throwing the ball down the field. So haven't ran the football to get that going. So we want to just be aggressive and find anything we can do to get an edge. So, we'll get to the Chad Kelly news in a moment, but with Kelly not being available to you, that means Nick's going to continue to be your starting quarterback. And, he obviously, it was kind of heartbreak the week before Montreal. How significant was the bounce back for Arbuckle in particular, especially when you consider now he knows, like, Chad's not right around the corner. He's not playing anytime soon. Yeah, no question. And, Chad practiced last week, so he kind of was under the impression that he wasn't going to be playing, that Chad was. And then, we went back to Nick, weren't certain about, Chad's health there. So, I thought he rose to the occasion, got the ball in his hands, played a simple football game. But sometimes, it's the easy throw, not always the tough throws.
Ryan, what are the expectations for Chad the rest of the way?
Yeah, we'll see. I think, there's a chance for, risk, obviously, if we don't feel like it's healed properly all the way. So The strength's there. He's moving around to practice, but we just want to get some second opinions. He's kind of nervous about some certain things. And, so we're probably going to go the whole 6 unless something, comes up and he just feels like he's fully healed, and we'll get an X-ray and see where he's at that stage.
So is it more of it's a Chad issue? Issue's not the right word, but it's Kelly telling you I'm not ready.
Well, yeah, me saying the same thing to him more than anything. He wanted to play. We went, had the 2 days on the field, but it just wasn't, it wasn't healthy enough for this stage for us to put him out there where he can protect himself.
So, in terms of the whole build-up to it, it was curious last week from the outside looking at it, because you mentioned he practiced, and there was a lot of belief like, okay, he's right there. How did that affect your own mindset, preparing for the week when you've got a quarterback in flux, and not only does he not become available to you, now, like you said, he's on the six game, IR here, and you don't know exactly when he's going to be prepared to play for you.
Yeah, no question. And, we put a plan together for him, and then we kind of tweaked it more so to Nick's strengths, later in the week. But he wanted to go. You could tell he wanted to go. Good on the practice field, just wasn't quite there yet. So, Nick obviously has been there, done that through a few different organizations. So, he just takes it one day at a time like he always has. He trusts the process. But the last few weeks he's playing better. He gives us a chance to win football games. With
Ryan Dinwiddie, head coach of the Argos, you got one of those rare scenarios where you're going back-to-back. You had the Bombers here over the weekend. Now you're going to Winnipeg. How that's rare in football, and you see it in the CFL. But do you relish this opportunity? I mean, Winnipeg, they may not be exactly who they were in past years, but they're still a pretty good team. And obviously, you consider the way you guys played over the weekend. How do you tweak, if at all, for playing them again next week?
Yeah, we had to make some tweaks. The nice part is that, a short week, you're playing a back-to-back opponent. It's not near as stressful time-wise trying to get a plan together. So we window dressed some stuff we felt we did well last week, and then, added a few different things from even last week's ideas that we didn't put on the game plan. We kind of kept in our hip pocket. So, you got to handle the crowd there, right? That's when their defensive line is going to get at you, where they can, go silent cadence. They kind of anticipate that. So we got to make sure we, control the clock and try to take that crowd out the best we can.
So you guys obviously have a Grey Cup culture. You're the reigning champs. It hasn't been the start to the season that you want, but it's still relatively early, in the CFL season. So I'm curious how you've kept things positive around your group, considering there's a lot of season left and you guys are still within reach of making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, some days I'm sure they were probably, it sounds like a broken record after a loss. You try to keep it positive. But, I was telling those guys, we still got time to turn this thing around, try to give them an example of it. Like, we win these few games, that's where we need to be. We're this far out from this team, we can catch them here. So the guys were bought in, and we, lose to Montreal. That was kind of one we said, all right, this can springboard our season, get us going. And, we had a really good opportunity to win that game. We didn't, and, fought back last week against Winnipeg. So, we lost to some good football teams. We had chances to, potentially play better and win some of those games. Mm-hmm. But, we're growing as a football club. A lot of new faces here, and we've had some injuries. But, you're still judged by wins and losses. We know we got to start winning football games at this stage to get back in the race.
Yeah, and especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, it's been well documented, the players, the personnel you've lost and some of the issues you have on that side of the ball. Like, what have you seen recently that makes you maybe feel more positive about where things are at today compared to maybe 6-7 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think making some more plays on the ball in the pass game, our secondary, and then getting involved, Judge getting involved, having the pick last week, that was huge, and our defensive line, Chat gets after the quarterback, leading the league in sacks. When he's doing that, he's disruptive. We play a lot better on defense.
Well, you're off to Winnipeg, and it was a great one this weekend. Again, I think you should have had the one the week before. I'm not telling you something you don't know, but a lot of season left, and we're always pulling for you. We appreciate you doing this. Thank you, Ryan.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Soon. You got it. Ryan Dinwiddie, head coach of the Argos. Yeah, the Chad Kelly story is interesting, man. Like, you get an athlete that's just doesn't feel right after a lengthy rehab. It's scary. Like if you're you got to be 100% physically and mentally if you return from a big rehab. You're concerned about planting your foot. Something's going to happen to you if the coverage isn't right. It kind of sounds like what's going on. Like, he wants to play. He feels like he's close, but he can't quite trust himself. And, In a sport like that, if you have a quarterback that can't trust his own abilities, can't happen. It's just not going to work.
No, because it'll be in the back of your mind.
Yeah, exactly, man. You're jittery. You're throwing balls away. Happy feet in the pocket. It just doesn't. It's not going to work. So I would say all bets are off in terms of what we're going to see from Chad Kelly the rest of the way, if he's even going to play. 6 more weeks, man. That gets you into September. It's pretty deep into the season.
Yeah.
Like now you're into week 14, week 15, and that's a different story. So they're in one here. They're in one, the Argos. But big win last week. Now they go to Winnipeg next week. All right, we'll come back with our best bets powered by FanDuel. Tee up the Jays game one more time. Jays down in Baltimore starting a 4-game series tonight. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. to our best bets powered by FanDuel here in a moment. We got baseball tonight. We got tennis tonight. Jeannie Bouchard possibly playing the final match of her career tonight in her hometown in Montreal. Pospisil playing his final match yesterday. It's always tough, Jonas.
Yeah.
It's always tough. You wrap up a career.
You start thinking about yourself. You get emotional.
Jeannie had a real opportunity. We talked about her last week, I think it was, to just be an absolute superstar. And I'm sure she made a lot of money, and she competed in a lot of tournaments, and she's had a great career, great life for the most part. But it felt like she was going to explode and be a great player for a long time, and it never happened. It was a year and a half, flash in the pan, and then that was it.
Yeah.
It's too bad. And like Bianca Andreescu, the same thing. We had Patrick McEnroe on earlier this hour and asked him, Leylah Fernandez, like, I don't think she'll ever make it back to a final in a slam. It's tough. It's a tough thing about tours, man. Like tennis, there's like a handful of people that are really competing, and then everyone else is just trying to make it as deep as they can and make as much money as they can, and you move off to the next pit stop.
Well, in Pospisil, I think part of his legacy will be that Players Association that he helped to create with Djokovic.
Yeah, he was a big proponent of that. And he won a doubles Wimbledon in 16.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty significant.
That's great.
You win a slam. Like the drop-off between a singles and a doubles,
Yeah, I know.
in terms of the way people perceive it, is pretty substantial.
Who were those brothers that used to win all the time?
Wasn't the Bryan brothers?
Yeah, well, I think that's who I'm thinking of.
Was that who it was?
Yeah. I don't know if they won all the time. That's just the only doubles pair that I can.
Yeah, I don't remember. Well, there was the great, I'm blanking on his name now, the Canadian Daniel Nestor, JP, big Daniel Nestor guy.
Oh, yeah.
Nestor was like the Djokovic of doubles tennis. He was unreal. But actually, that'd be a pretty good thing to get into. You get into a doubles world, like you're just traveling around, you got a buddy with you all the time, you play pretty well. The purse isn't nearly as much. You're not making as much money.
Yeah, but you better like that person.
Yeah, you got to really perform well.
Like imagine if you and O were like a doubles pairing.
That's something we should try.
You like each other, but you would butt heads all the time.
Amateur doubles tennis. O and I go out on some Toronto amateur circuit. We'll take people. I'll bet you can play tennis.
You would kill each other.
I would have an issue with him. Because I think he's still like he's in much better shape. He'd be so slow. He'd be a pain in the ass to deal with. He'd show up late. Yeah, I don't think I could do it. Noodles, I cannot picture Noodles playing anything but goalie. Like I don't think he can do anything else.
Doesn't he run?
That doesn't count though. That's not like competing.
Oh.
He runs on a treadmill. He's not like a marathon runner.
Okay.
I should do a ranking. That's a great ranking one day. The five non-hockey sports I think Noodles would be decent at.
Not golf, right?
Will not play golf. Tennis, I'll bet you he'd be terrible at and would hate it.
Basketball?
I don't see basketball at all. No. Football? No. Like he can't play football. Like baseball?
What about table tennis?
Possibly something like that. But of like the major sports, like the big four, and then golf and tennis, none of them.
No,
Olympic
right?
sports, I don't think so.
Archery?
Maybe. He's from Alberta. He could probably shoot. I got him as I think he's a decent shot. Anyway, best bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. We got a big series. Cubs-Brewers. What a game that is tonight.
That's the Craig Counsell Bowl.
That's right. Well, and you get the Brewers, who you have to pay a little bit of juice, but technically the Cubs are favored tonight. I will hammer the Brewers at home tonight. I'm on the Brewers, and that's going to be the game to watch. I don't think there's any question about that. Jay's obviously down in Baltimore, of course, on a local standpoint. But I will take the Brewers, only paying minus 102 up against the Cubs tonight. Your best bet's powered by FanDuel. The first inning means as much as the ninth when you bet baseball on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 19 plus, physically located in Ontario. That's a great battle in the Central. Mm-hmm. I think they both have 62 wins.
That Cubs team is good. And the Brewers just like somehow keep finding players.
They keep rolling, man. They were just red hot like a week ago. And it sounds like they've acquired Danny Jansen. So they had a catcher and a right-handed bat. There you go. Shout out to Danny.
By the way, I looked up the Luka MVP odds. Third best odds.
After, let me guess, Jokic.
Yeah, he's second.
And Shea?
Yeah. You know what I like is like if I was going to bet, Wemby 18-1.
He's coming off the blood clots, though, man.
Well, there's that.
Scares
Like,
me a
are they
little
going to
bit.
be good enough?
Yeah. Like he's got to. He's going to get there at some point. You're right. In order to make money off him, you got to get him before he hits.
Yeah, you're right.
Like you kind of got to start betting him now.
Right, when it's like good odds.
Yeah, like that's because once he hits, if he hits, the
He'll
way
be the
people
favorite
think,
every year.
almost every year, you're going to
he'll
get
be
no
LeBron.
odds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I don't know, like he's a different beast. He's so tall. He's so lanky.
Oh man, he's so good. He's so good at everything. Like he's a good 3-point shooter. He's going to be the best defensive
Great blocker.
He is the best defensive player.
Great rim protector. He's not big. Like he's not
bulky.
Yeah, he's not bulky at all.
Yeah, but I think he'll get bulkier. Like he's so young.
Yeah, that's a pretty good play. Like, because you got to get on Wemby early. Year 3, this is the best odds you're probably ever going to get for him.
I looked at Raptors over-unders, 37.5. Would you take the over or the under? Kind of think I might take an over.
Yeah, I would lean.
38,
I would lean
39.
over. I think they could get to 40 wins and make the play. Like,
I do too.
if that number indicates that they're going to be a play-in team,
Yeah.
and I think that has to be the bare minimum expectation.
Yeah, well, the East is bad this year.
Yeah, it's not great. You know, you've got Ingram. You presume health this year. You've got kids who continue to grow. I don't know. I mean, like, they're starting 5. If you've got Pirtle and Scotty and Ingram and, like, Quickly, I still don't.
Quickly and
I
Barrett. That's your 5.
Yeah. You think RJ, like, I don't know how that's going to work.
RJ on the
Barrett
bench,
with Ingram
I agree.
on at the same time. I don't know how they're going to share the floor. I don't know how that's going to look. But who else are you going to play? Grady Dick or Jacoby Walter?
Or shooting, get Dick in there? I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. 37.5, yeah, I'd probably lean over.
Slide over.
What's the Leafs win total at? Curious about that. What's their point total at?
Their point total?
Well, that's more accurate than win total because with 3-point games and like there's no overtime, there's no ties and different point distributions in basketball and baseball. You can have pure win totals. Hockey, it's about points.
I can't find points, but where do you think they rank in Stanley Cup odds?
9th.
Yes. Nice job.
There you go. That's generally around where they are.
Yeah.
Like they're
Carolina, Florida tied.
Why is Carolina first?
Because of the additions that they made. Keandre Miller.
Keandre Miller makes you the Cup favorite.
And they added, who's the forward? I can't think. And Ehlers.
Yeah, Ehlers a good player.
And they always have a mate. Well, I guess that's to win the Cup.
They got a decent team.
So they have the same odds
never
as Florida.
sniffed the Cup. They get pumped by Florida.
Okay. Vegas, then Edmonton, Dallas, Colorado, Tampa, and then Jersey just ahead of the Leafs.
Yeah, there's another one. Why would Jersey be ahead of the Leafs?
Interesting. I don't know.
Like, what has Jersey
The
done
Leafs
recently?
have the same odds as the Kings.
Okay.
Interesting.
Listen, I can live with where the Leafs deserve the odds that they whatever they're going to be. Like they never
How do
win.
The Kings. The Kings haven't won a playoff series in
Well, they run into
long
Edmonton
time.
every single year, right? But Carolina having the best odds is ridiculous. Who's their goalie? Freddie? Like they're not winning a Stanley Cup. They're not winning a Stanley Cup, and Jersey's not. Like there's no chance.
Any of those next 6 teams: Florida, Vegas, Edmonton, Dallas, Colorado.
Those teams all make sense.
I could all see.
Those are the top teams.
Yeah,
I'll give you all those. But maybe it's a sign of the division. Like maybe Washington. You know, faith in Washington. They don't have faith in
Good
Pittsburgh
analytics,
and the Rangers and all that.
No one cares about what people in New Jersey think.
All right. Yeah, there you go. That's true. That's 100% valid. All right, Jonas. Great seeing you, man.
I'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today, TV, radio, podcast, web, and up on YouTube Live on TSN's YouTube channel. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m.